Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blue Thunder Pod's Turnbuckle Time Machine. I'm your host, Billy Sullivan. With me, as always, my mom's favorite podcast host, hailing from the Red Hook section of Frankfort, Illinois, Dave Olinovich.
What's the Red Hook section? That's a part of New York, I assume?
It's a part of New York.
I should have looked it up at some point.
I only know it because of Taz.
Yeah. Sounds
actually, you know what, Taz? Weird reference right off the bat here.
Yeah.
Taz, and then the book / film. What's it called? Not Bully. The other one. The Brad Pitt child molestation thing. He plays a lawyer. He's a kid who was molested as a kid, grew up to be a lawyer, prosecuted the guy. Supposed to be a true story. I read the book before I saw the movie, and turned out it was like all made up anyway. But it was a good book still, and a good movie. But that took place in Red Hook, and I remember reading because I read it in like 1999 or something. So wrestling nerd as I am, I was like, Red Hook? Yeah. I wonder if Taz knew these guys.
So apparently Red Hook is Red Hook, Brooklyn. It's a neighborhood in Western Brooklyn, New York City. And then people also, so I Googled it and it's got the people also asked. The first one is Red Hook a good neighborhood in Brooklyn? It turns out it is, according to Google, one of the best places to live in New York City.
Well, not like now. I think all of Brooklyn is like $2 million for a one-room apartment kind of thing.
Taz's anger would be misplaced if he lived in Red Hook today.
Yeah.
Back then, you can probably make an argument because I know they cleaned up New York City quite a bit over the last couple decades.
I mean, last time I was there was like 4 years ago. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was like the safest feeling city I'd ever been in.
Oh.
I traveled all over the place by train, never at one point felt like a little bit uneasy. Unlike LA, where I was like jumped in a bathroom and every time I go there, I'm like looking over my shoulder because I feel like there's some seedy person around every corner. New York feels like the nicest parts of like downtown Chicago.
I thought that. And that was my visit, or my sentiment every visit. Last summer, I was there, and I almost got jumped twice by two giant groups of people.
Oh, okay.
In back-to-back days. One guy walked toward me with an extension cord in his hand.
Jesus Christ.
And he was flanked by like...
Was it Roosh?
No, he didn't have the size.
Oh, okay.
No, but he didn't even have the anger, right?
Just Roosh, that's his weapon of choice. So.
Yeah, an extension cord. And he put it right up to me, and he was about to swing. And he said something to me that I'm not going to say here. I'll tell you off the pod. But luckily, I had a couple in me. So like I felt nothing, and I just kept walking, and I was on the phone. So I think the phone saved my life that night.
Seems like our personal experiences specifically kind of flavor our feelings on the big cities of the country. L.A., I got jumped in the bathroom of the Rainbow where Guns N' Roses used to play. Yeah. It was racially motivated. Again, I won't say the words that were being used.
Poppycock.
But I got my ass beat by a couple of dudes, 3 dudes. But thankfully, I was back in my drinking days, and I had more than a couple in me, and I didn't feel a damn thing.
And as they were leaving, you said, and this is the origin of "beat me if you can, survive
if I
let you."
They were short. They were shorter than me, so they were probably the Taz.
Was it
situation? No. Although Taz does look like he could be Latino, these gentlemen were Mexican. I know that only because of the things that they were saying.
Yeah. I like the idea of Taz. Now that we're talking about Taz being a little guy. Like, what if Taz was the Oompa Loompas at Willy Wonka's fair, and it's just a bunch of guys in singlets, like with towels on their heads?
I love it. I can't believe I've never thought of Taz as an Oompa Loompa before, being an orange short man.
But just like 17 of them at one time. Just full on Taz.
He wouldn't have to, Willie funny. Would not have had to come up with like fun, interesting ways to kill all those kids. He could have just unleashed his Oompa Loompas, the Tazplex the shit out of all of them.
Not a single bar of chocolate would have made it out of that factory.
How, watching the show, like, note on, I guess it would be on a match that we'll get to, but it's just a general idea, thought kind of thing, as Rocky pulls all the garbage out of the garbage can. How the hell was Paul Heyman able to absolutely make me believe that like Taz could beat the hell out of 6'4", 350-pound Bam Bam Bigelow?
Because Paul Heyman has historically said, to the point where we all just assume it's something you say when you're being creative, accentuate the strengths and hide the weaknesses. So
Vince just like, man, after like Taz had that incredible debut.
Yeah, he's beat Kurt Angle.
Yeah, and like that, they put all the time and effort into his entrance and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, they're actually going to use Taz, right? I can't believe it.
Right.
And then just like shat to bed immediately with him because he was too short or
Right.
whatever.
Well, Vince didn't like the little guys. Also, too, he had a chip on his shoulder about anybody being successful in another company and coming over that he didn't
but then
originally.
why put all that effort into like the guy's intro?
They
like
had
the
to-
guy coming out.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
You'd also think the height thing, like Vince blew up as a promoter. I got to put money twice in the Vince jar for the show already. But as a promoter,
$3,500 per Vince
so
mention.
$7,000.
$7,000 goes in the jar.
While he was blowing up as a promoter and like having his most success, the world heavyweight boxing champion and one of the greats of all time was 5'10" Mike Tyson, who was knocking out 6'6" guys on the regular. Like you'd think that he would see that and be like, oh, you know what? It is fine. I'm going to employ Mike Tyson in a few years myself.
Right.
Like, and he's a shorter guy. It's okay for me to push Taz. Like,
that's Vince though. And we see how he turned out.
I'll stop. I'll stop with Vince.
No, it's what that's. We're up to $10,500 in mentions.
So was it like decimal points? Because I think
3,500 per Vince mention.
per Vince, so it would be 7, and then 10-5. Okay,
10-5.
you're right. You're right. It's my.
It's
my
okay.
bad.
We could buy a Corolla.
So you guys might have guessed is that I have mentioned Taz so far and Bam Bam Bigelow. We are covering an ECW show for the first time. Shaky camera. I should lower the fidelity on our video recording to fit the theme. We are covering what is, I would say, pretty generally considered ECW's best pay-per-view.
If it's not the best one, I'm looking forward to the best one.
Yeah.
This
like,
was fucking
it's
awesome.
the highest rated cage match, and when people do their list and stuff, usually this one's at the top. ECW Heatwave 98 took place February 8th of 1998 in Dayton, Ohio, at the Hara Arena. Same location as the show, that the Turnbuckle Time Machine we did last week. That was WCW's Great American Bash 95. Both in the Hara Arena. 4,376 in attendance, which I think was a sellout for how they had it, had the show set up. This was kind of hard to find, but 73,000 pay-per-view buys, that's way more than I would have expected from an ECW show. Like in my mind, I don't know about you, but like maybe it's because of like the quality of the broadcast on like when it went to TNN, and like it just felt like a tape tradery, very indie kind of thing back in the day. I loved it, but ECW felt very, very, very much smaller than like WCW or the Fed. But 73,000 pay-per-view guys tells me that it wasn't actually that far away.
It wasn't that small, because I remember being a kid and I had a little like hand-me-down TV that I put in my bedroom, and I religiously watch ECW every fucking time it came on. So and that's me being a kid.
I was a teenager. I was a little bit older, but like, I watched a lot of ECW, and I probably wouldn't. It was harder for me to get a hold of like Ring of Honor and shit later. So, I guess I should have known. But like, what bums me out then is thinking that like, oh, it really, if it weren't for just a bunch of terrible business decisions, like they could have probably made it and like not lost all their talent. And if they were doing this kind of buy rates and they were able to travel the country, this is in Dayton, it's like not Philly.
Yeah, they moved out of the East Coast, first time in Ohio. Really quick, August 2nd.
August 2nd?
Not February 8th. You flipped your numbers.
Oh, I was probably reading a British thing or something, because they put the dates in the other way.
It was like a heat wave in February would have been a smart move. Would have heated the crowd up quickly. No big deal.
Right, that makes more sense.
No big deal. So as I'm watching this, one of my initial thoughts was, I wish Tony Khan ripped this company off instead of WCW for presentation, because it sounds better. It looks cooler.
There's definitely stuff that I prefer here.
He did a straight WCW Saturday Night or Nitro ripoff, like the ring sound, the entranceway, like the camera filters. It's a straight WCW mod. I think this was presented so goddamn well.
The grittiness of it is awesome.
It's so, and like Joey Styles and like is the one man commentary team, and they're not filming them with like a hard cam. They're turning the camera. And it's
I mean, that was a little 90s, the camera stuff,
which is fine.
I loved, but
like it made it look so different.
Yeah.
And like when he got real intense, he got real quiet. They gave him time to talk. Like they gave shit so much time on this show that I just loved it.
It was only a few matches, but like it didn't feel like there was any filler to me, at least.
No.
And it was long enough for a pay-per-view. So I like presentation wise, I'll say AEW, and I think that they borrow most heavily from New Japan. Like, but they definitely pulled a bunch of WCW stuff in. And then I think the best like alterations, those decisions that they've made over the years, and then like got away from in 2023, and then now are getting back to, was ECW inspired. I've always thought it was, and NJPW most heavily with a heavy duty WCW flavor, but also he's obviously grabbing mostly in-ring stuff from ECW.
Hopefully he continues getting inspired by ECW and cutting the houses in half, because look at what a good house does when it's the right size and it's the right people in there.
Love this number of fans in the right sized building. It's awesome. Like my favorite. It's like the NXT takeovers that we talk about all the time. They sounded so amazing because that's what they did. They just put them in the right sized house.
Right.
And those people were going to be like your rabid fans because they're the ones that like are buying pay-per-view tickets to either, NXT takeover or in this case ECW, which was kind of an underground thing.
And this was on the come up.
Yeah.
This was like Rob Van Dam was television champion for, I believe, like 6 weeks at this point. And he held that
2
thing
years or
for
whatever.
Like he looked super young, and I'm like, oh, they're not even good yet. Like it's good, but it's not what it was about to be.
He wasn't even in this. Like their match specifically was a good match. It wasn't even close to what Rob Van Dam ended up being a couple years later. I will say that like if ECW would have continued longer, if they had succeeded and held on to their talent, I do think they would have had to alter their style, because going back and watching this, I mean, it's awesome in retrospect. If anybody put a show on like this today, I would give it like 0 stars because it's way too reckless. But that's just because we know what we know.
Yeah.
I mean, literally my favorite match on the card, one of my favorite matches of all time, I would be like, I don't want to watch this if it happened today.
Yeah.
But because it happened back then, I can go back now and watch it and still enjoy it as much as I did. The style was insane.
Didn't protect each other too much on this show. Did we mention this is the first Heatwave on pay-per-view?
I did not. And they've had Heatwaves before, right?
Yeah.
But not...
No, first time it was on pay-per-view. And this is only their 5th overall pay-per-view.
73,000. Man, Paul, how did you not... He should have hired a business manager. He's such a great promoter. Yeah. That's like what WCW was pulling almost, like at the same time, pay-per-view buys, a little bit earlier probably, like 95, 96. They're doing like 70 and 90,000. I
mean, they had a partnership with FMW, which was Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, so they were doing some business moves. This was how they got Hayabusa, which was his first and only major wrestling appearance in the United States before he almost killed himself.
The innovator of the 450.
The innovator of not rotating all the way on a lion salt and almost paralyzing yourself.
He had some trouble in this show.
Good Lord.
I would actually...
Oh, no. Did you ever see the injury? You had to have.
Hayabusa's...
When he crowned himself?
Oh, yeah. He
didn't... That was in 2001-ish? I wrote the note later down.
He had to be getting up there when that happened, too, then. Because he was pretty old here for this show.
You know what they do? We'll get to it when we get to the match. They say both how old and how many years both he and Hakushi have been wrestling. I'm not calling him whatever his name is in Japan. I'm calling him Hakushi.
Underrated feud with Bret Hart, Hakushi.
He was so good.
He was.
Again,
Vince. Money in the jar.
Also, Bret Hart didn't have bad feuds.
Yeah, no, he didn't.
Back up. Isaac Yankem wasn't good. Hang on, keep going. Jerry Lawler wasn't good. It wasn't.
2 great work punches, Jerry Lawler and Bret Hart. 2 of the best of all time.
Bob Backlund wasn't very good. But I mean, look who we're talking about here.
Nobody bats 1,000.
No.
Nobody.
No.
There's a bunch of Will Ospreay stuff when he was a skinny dork that I could go back to and be like, ooh, that's just the spot fest.
You tell everybody you fuck .com and .com's the best fuck you ever had.
Nice callback, Dave.
Nice.
Show opens with Joey Styles. I loved it. If you guys watch this on Peacock or the network, depending on what country you're currently in, since we are now international, you will not get this entire intro, which is unfortunate. The show can be found in its original form.
Speaking of, you did send me the original form, and it did not work, so I had to watch this on the Peacock.
Oh, that's a bummer. So you missed what I'm about to talk about.
No, I saw the whole Joey Styles thing, the intro.
With Francine? And,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. They used to edit that out of the network version.
Well, it's back. Thank you, Hunter. We'll give him credit again.
It had to be rough watching Sandman's entrance without...
it was really rough watching Rob Van Dam come out, and I know he's coming out to Pantera's Walk, and the whole crowd is pointing and saying, hey, whoa, and it's just some generic ass shit that doesn't even at least line it up. So
why wouldn't they just dub in
Bozo dubbed over?
No, nice callback. One of a kind. His one of a kind. Hey. They have the rights to that. Why not just dub that on top of?
Because what you're doing right now is making a logical decision.
That's a pretty good song. Do that one.
And that's the one
It's not walk, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, he was known for that.
By more people, for sure.
Far more people.
But the Sandman, I think that part would be the most difficult for me to get through because it goes on for 45 minutes.
Sandman was difficult to get through just by existing on this show.
I'm a fan of his, despite him.
Yeah,
I
think
I can't even tell you why.
I made almost an exact note. I love the Sandman. If the Sandman wasn't on the TV,
yeah. I'm like, you can't wrestle. You can't really talk. I love him.
Yeah,
I have no idea. He goes against every part of my wrestling fiber.
But I'm glad he's there.
Me too. Yeah, exactly. He's like he's an anomaly. Yeah. I like the open of this. Yep. Joey Styles comes out to welcome everybody, and announces the world champ Shane Douglas is going to be his color commentating partner, because Shane is out with an arm injury. He's got like a CM Punk-esque arm brace kind of thing on.
Legit, yeah.
In my memory, Shane Douglas has a cast or a brace on his right arm every time I've ever seen it.
He has brittle bone disease.
I think he was the most overrated wrestler on the ECW roster. He could talk, but I think it was just about.
He looks like a what's it called? Reign of Terror Triple H character.
It seemed like he was like going for that even because he had the backwards leather.
And he led a
newsboy hat and
couple dudes in a stable. He's
like he strikes me as the kind of guy that really knows the business and he can talk. He's doing color commentary. He's pretty good on color commentary here.
Oh, he did a bunch of cool shit on color commentary that I've never heard anybody else do.
But I just don't have a lot of memory of him doing anything notable in the ring. And I have a lot of memories of a lot of people in ECW doing notable stuff.
Well, he did get awarded the Intercontinental title and then drop it moments later to Razor Ramon. So there's that. When he was Dean Douglas.
Dean Douglas?
He was supposed to wrestle Shawn Michaels, but Shawn Michaels got beat up by 7 thugs in, I believe it was... where was it? Buffalo? Somewhere up there? Somewhere in New York. You have an
encyclopedic knowledge of that specific era
I
of
watched
WWE.
I watched it so much. And Shawn Michaels came to In Your House, and he relinquished the Intercontinental title, and Shane Douglas pulls it. He was like someone that hasn't eaten in a week, and there was plate of ham in front of him. He's like, give me that ham / Intercontinental title. And then they made him fight Razor Ramon moments later, and he lost it to Razor Ramon.
My Shane Douglas memories are like this show. I remembered him with this outfit doing the point at the mat saying because he was selling this whole show that he wanted Taz to lose because they're feuding. Taz will eventually go on to beat Shane for the world title. But when he kind of points at the mat yelling, "Bam, man, put him through the ring last time."
Yeah.
I remember that. And I remember because it's kind of famous, him throwing down the NWA title and declaring himself the Extreme Championship Wrestling world champ to signal to super fuck over NWA, which is kind of hilarious. If you ever watch that whole story or read about it, it's amazing. But to kick off ECW tenure as a thing, that was cool. It was.
Didn't he win a tournament as well?
Yeah, and it was like all the NWA board guys were there front row. The reason they had the thing was to bring the prestige back to the title after a bunch of fuckery with Ric Flair and stuff, and they had no idea that Heyman was going to have Shane do this at the end, and it just put the title in the trash after they put this whole tournament together with the only purpose to be we're going to make this a legit title again. We're going to bring back the prestige of the 10 pounds of gold.
Yeah.
And Shane Douglas is like, fuck that, ECW, baby.
And it was just Eastern Championship
Off.
Wrestling.
It was, yeah.
It wasn't the Extreme.
Yeah, I said Extreme just to consolidate. But
I wasn't correcting you. I was just adding.
I don't know how quickly he pivoted to Extreme Championship Wrestling, because I don't remember watching anything under the banner of Eastern except for that when Shane originally
I tried during COVID. One of my COVID projects was like, I'm going to watch all of the ECW television programs in chronological order. I didn't get past the first one. It was unbearable to turn on.
Their TV broadcast was awful.
It was bad.
TNN was terrible.
It's like some random ass buddy of mine. Gary, shout out Gary, will send me these clips of like old Chicago wrestling promotions from like 82, and it's like they're all on YouTube, and it's like the full episode, and it's just like, it was that, and it was terrible. It's
weird.
People don't realize that they're trying to be entertainers.
It's super weird when you're watching old wrestling stuff, because you can go on YouTube and watch, because I'm like super nerdy, and I like to go watch World of Sports, like the old where Davey Boy Smith started, and like a Dynamite Kid got his start, and it was like the old British World of Sport. This is from like the 70s, going into the early 80s, and it still looks good. I don't know if it's because they shot it on film or something.
Yeah.
It's just one hard cam. That's all it is, because it's like as low rent as they could. I mean, these are like people from the British countryside all over the UK in all tiny arenas, but it all looks the same because it's all shot from exactly the same spot, and it looks like beautiful. But then if I go try to watch like one of my favorite matches ever, CM Punk versus Samoa Joe in Ring of Honor, it's absolutely unwatchable to me, even though it happened 30 years later, 25 years later, because of the way it was shot and how the video is degraded and the sound. It's the match where like the commentators were only paid to be there to a certain time, and the match went over by like 15 minutes, so they just quit. So there's no commentary for the last half of the match. Yeah, it's like one of my favorite ever matches, but I can't watch it because it's so shit. And that's how I feel about like the TNN ECW stuff. It's impossible to go back and watch the pay-per-views, though. Like you said, the presentation. Well, I mean,
this presentation was awesome, so now we have Joey Styles and Shane Douglas in the ring, and also we have the head cheerleader Francine,
Queen of Extreme,
in basically just lingerie.
Naked.
I love her. Just confidence is the wrong word. Like
so you're going to say exactly what my note was too.
She knew exactly what she was doing.
So it was the antithesis of every sexualized character that WWF had ever. Yeah. Where you could tell that the person that they had doing this character wasn't really into it. This felt like Francine wrote what she was going to do. And she was like, I'm into it.
My God.
That thing where she like caresses Joey Styles' face from behind to get him to like, that looked like it was her that came up with it. And she was definitely into the character. It makes it, one, like sexier, not to be weird, but it does, because you know that the woman is into it. So it's like, not rapey. She's not being forced into doing this thing. She digs it. And also just way more entertaining because like we talked about a bunch, anybody that's like motivated to do what they're doing on a wrestling show, like that, you can tell that they're into it. They just do a better job, and she's awesome at it.
She was good, and then they had Dawn Marie. She was awesome at it. Beulah was not as forthcoming. She was pretty fucking good at it too, actually. Now
she was. She wasn't on screen quite as much, but
she was gone by now. Yeah, I think she was done by now.
Oh no, she was the biggest. She was the. That might have been how they wrote her off. She was the main story point of the main event.
No, I know that, but I'm saying like in the history of ECW, I think she was done by. That's probably why she was written off TV to be gone, or that's how they wrote her off TV.
But it's like, I do think like WWF at the time like took a bunch of their ECW, one of the things they do is put sexy ladies on screen. Yeah. But they didn't understand that it was like their performance also, and that they were into it, and like not just that they were not wearing any clothes.
Back in the day, like they had Miss Elizabeth tear her skirt off, and she looked like she was being held at gunpoint to do it. Yeah. So like Vince always had an aspect of humiliating women.
Obviously, yeah.
You know, so we're up to now 10-5, 14 even.
Well, you know what? Maybe we should pause it for this show, because the one thing ECW I did notice is not shy about doing is mentioning WWF and WCW, because they do it.
The swear jar takes a break
every 15 minutes on this show. Like Joey Styles takes some kind of a swipe at the other shows.
So what they do as well is build matches correctly throughout the show. Yeah. So Shane Douglas is out. He yells, "Cut the fuck!" Oh, swear words. That's another fucking cool thing.
Yeah, I told you a million times. I'm a 13-year-old boy. Blood and swearing rules. It makes me enjoy wrestling more
when it's not overdone. Cut the fucking music. I'm so excited tonight because tonight Bam Bam Bigelow gets his hands on Taz. You all remember what happened last time. At Living Dangerously, Bam Bam took Taz and he put him through the ring. Tonight, Bammer, I like that he calls him Bammer, has assured Francine and I that he will put Taz's ass, not through the ring, but through the goddamn concrete floor. Crowd is now chanting, "Show your tits" to Francine.
Which they did a funny little, she kind of teased that she was gonna, and then like the three of them, Joey Styles, Francine, and Shane Douglas, did a little huddle and pretended that she showed them.
Yeah.
And then Shane Douglas.
And the crowd did not
goodness.
like it. But, no, so they're referencing one of the most iconic in all of wrestling history spots when Bam Bam Bigelow and Taz fell through the ring.
Yeah, they used it on ECW advertising like the entirety of the time.
As they should have.
Yeah. It was awesome looking.
So already coming off the heels of something awesome that we don't ever see at this point in 1998.
So all kinds of shit like that. And now I'm thinking about it, like that thing with Terry Funk with the ladder on his neck, the thing where everybody throws the chairs in at one time, the best Al Snow stuff with the heads, like that's all just incredibly
into the crowd.
Captured stuff from ECW. A thing from this show that they ended up using. Yeah, a couple things.
There's two things that
nonstop
from this show that are in perpetuity. Like when I think of like wrestling highlights, like these, there's two things from this show, not the thing I just mentioned, that are there forever.
Yeah.
So Joey Styles says, "Champ, you're looking great as always." Shane says, "Thanks, Joey. You don't look so bad yourself tonight." Joey says, "Thanks. I bought a new suit. It's double-breasted, like Francine." Then Francine says, "But Joey, I bet your suit didn't cost you like $6,000 like these." And she grabs her boobies. Oh no! And then she shoves Joey's face in her boobies and gives her a motorboat. Huge pop. And right then the opening credits start, but they didn't turn the house audio off, and you just hear Joey going.
Yeah, he just makes like a varmint noise or something. I forgot. One of the things I did enjoy about another thing I liked about the Francine presentation, when Shane Douglas first is entering the ring, he lets her in. She gets in the ring, and gives him a kiss, and he does like a feign heart attack. Yeah. And he bumps harder for his fake heart attack than Mang bumped in his at any point in his entire career. He hits the ramp like full back bump. Like, oh my goodness, my heart. This is a Twitter because of Francine's kiss. I mean, it's really good sell.
I don't blame him. First match on the card, just incredible with Jason, the sexiest man alive.
I've never understood Jason's deal. I still don't.
Nicole Bass and Chastity versus Jerry Lynn. This went 14 minutes, 36 seconds. Did not feel even close to 14 minutes.
Nah. Just Incredible, I think, is one of the more underrated wrestlers ever. People give him shit, I think, because he was Aldo Montoya or whatever. But even looking back, they're like, "Oh, he was the worst ECW champ or whatever." Like, yeah, but that was towards the end also when they didn't have. I mean, Mike Awesome was the ECW champ too, and he was never really even an ECW wrestler. But like every time I watch him in a match, I'm like, this guy can just go. Yeah. I don't know, and he puts in all the other extra in between stuff we talk about all the time too, and he's like 24 here, which shocked me.
He's a baby, yeah. One thing I did have fun with when researching about all these people. Chastity, who was called up to WCW, was let go from WCW because they found out that she may have made a movie film with not all of her clothes on. Let's connect some dots here, shall we? I have
a memory of like WCW hiring some valet from ECW, and it turned out she was like in an adult film, and then they fired her. I didn't know that it was Chastity.
Chastity,
it makes sense because I don't really remember her from much else.
No, she wasn't. She was around for a cup of coffee.
Just Incredible's his entourage is a pretty interesting and eclectic group.
Yeah, Joey Styles had a dope line about Nicole Bass specifically. Well, first he says, "Here's the 24-year-old puke, just incredible," and I don't know what Nicole Bass is. We should call her Russia because she's so much bigger than China.
Yeah, that popped me as
It's
well.
like, whoa, here we go. And Joey Styles has a headset in, so you know damn well we are just hearing Paul Heyman talking this entire
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's nonstop the whole show.
This is apparently the finals of the summer series between Justin Credible and Jerry Lynn, and whoever wins this match wins the feud. And it's basically just for bragging rights.
Yeah, that was my only gripe, really, was they kept saying whoever wins this wins the feud, and that felt like insidery. Like this time period, just in general in the wrestling world, is a little like kind of the worst for smarky behavior. And like I know I'm on the inside, I know these terms, and you don't. And they leaned into it a little bit too much in ECW, and like the calling it a feud even was not something people that were casual wrestling fans would have done. And then like for this to say that like they win the feud like that is a prize, when really it was just like an insider term to refer to.
Maybe it was
like
just a series of matches that if you watched, you got to see the end of the series of matches.
Yeah, I just didn't like that they stamped it. The winner of this wins the feud. It just felt like, oh, okay, dirt sheet people. Like,
yeah. Well, from what I gathered, it was they wrestled a bunch of times over the summer, and this is the last one.
Yeah.
That was it.
You
got a lot more fired up about it.
The thing itself, I like.
Yeah.
I like a feud, and I like a series of matches, and I like there being like a blow off. I think there's better ways to phrase it than to like almost say like this is a championship or the stakes are this is the winner of the feud.
Oh no!
I like leaving it more like
felt like a best of seven kind of thing.
Like today, they would leave it more like whoever wins this, that's going to settle this, or just put it that way, or whatever. Saying feud, it's just one of those like buzzwords that was big in the dirt sheets back in the day.
Yeah, I didn't get any of that.
It grabbed me a little bit.
I wish I did, though. That would have helped because I was very tired watching this. It's like a cup of coffee right there. Joey Styles says, as Jerry Lynn's coming up, the most underrated wrestler in all of the great sport of professional wrestling. And no, I didn't say sports entertainment. To your point,
it's nonstop.
They're leaning into Vincent very hard. The match starts with the crowd yelling, "Just an asshole." I forgot about.
The thing too, he gets
so
great
funny.
heat. Like, he's a good wrestler and like nonstop great heat from the crowd. Like
something about him. Oh,
it's like he looks like X-Pac. I mean, it's an X-Pac.
He was an X Factor.
Yeah. And when he joined, I was like, oh, they put him in because he looks like bald X-Pac. Looks exactly like him.
Looks like he has bad breath.
He looks like a rat, really. I mean,
yeah.
But that all works because he was a heel his whole career.
Yeah.
He's not, and also his name's great. He's not just the coolest. He's not just the best. He's just incredible.
But he is a smart heel because right at the beginning of the match, Jerry Lynn bests him a couple times with some arm drags, so he's shown that he can out wrestle him. And just incredible. He's frustrated. He's not losing it. He's aware, though. He's like settling himself. And the way he prevents that is he just knees him in the gut, stops that pattern. So we start like this with being a wrestling match, and it quickly devolves into the stereotypical
Team Credible versus
like high-paced ECW match that they worked at 100 goddamn miles an hour.
Yes, they did.
Jerry Lynn dives from the top rope to the outside, and there are 0 mats on the outside. Concrete.
It's insane. Absolutely insane. And plus, with the number of dives that happen on this show, nothing but concrete out there.
Get a down comforter or something and put it down there. Make me believe. Jerry Lynn goes for a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, and Justin Credible turns it into a scorpion death drop, which, again, this is proto AEW, where we're just Hail Marrying and finishers like nonstop.
It's more that's what struck me is I hadn't watched the show in probably a decade, even though it's one of my favorites all time. Full disclosure, like some of the stuff that people find too indulgent about AEW, I forgot that ECW did it like times a billion. Like the pace of this match was one of those things, and the pace of almost every one of these matches on this card is like way faster than the fastest AEW match.
You could tell who's wrestled on WWF programming on this card because those matches slowed down sometimes.
Sure,
the other ones, not to. No, I'm just to your point. Like this match, neither of these guys, I believe. I mean, Justin Credible was Aldo Montoya at this point, but I don't think he wanted anything to do with that Aldo Montoya moniker. So he's like, "Fuck it, let's turn it up." But like Chris Candido slowed down.
Yeah.
Who the fuck else am I thinking? There was one other one that.
Bam Bam and Taz.
They slowed.
Bam Bam paced it more like a not rest holds, but
there were rest holds in some matches.
More like, but like the pace of this was just it was
sprint.
I would liken it more to like a lucha, like an in Mexico lucha match.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the reasons why I fell so hard in love with ECW at this time, because it must have been such a, I don't remember it being like this, but it must have been such a wild difference.
It was.
Because we were just watching WWF.
Yes.
And then you put this on and I'm like, holy shit, these guys are doing 40 times more moves.
And everybody was different. Every match was different.
And the crowd was like,
I knew who everyone was, and I gave a shit about everyone. The crowd was like, oh, like you want to be. I've talked about this so many times, but when I see a crowd react, it's like I want to be a part of that.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
cool.
Every time I watch ECW, one of their big shows, I'm like, I want to go back in time and be in the front row for this. It looks so fun.
So much fun going to one of those. Joey Styles at some point goes, when Just Incredible came to ECW, when Just Incredible came to ECW, a lot of know-it-all wrestling journalists didn't give him a lot of credit for being a great athlete, an accomplished wrestler, that he wasn't worthy of the publicity in the media. It wouldn't be the first time that ECW showed the know-it-alls better.
Yeah. Who was talking shit about them signing? Was there a lot of pub for Just Incredible signing with ECW? I mean, I guess it would have been some because it was a WWF guy going to ECW, which always got some stuff.
Yeah.
But it feels weird that Meltzer would talk shit about Aldo Montoya getting a shot elsewhere. He's like a guy that got saddled with a shitty gimmick and went to do it elsewhere.
I would love to know, and I refuse to pay for a subscription to whatever his publication is.
Never.
But I would love to go back.
Him nor SRS. No, I can find that information elsewhere.
SRS is an ABBA song, sir. It's not. But I would love to go back as part of my research for these just to see what was written at the time, but I fucking refuse to. So
you know what though, it lines up with the rest of his career though, because people still go on Cage Match and look at Just Incredible's his overall ranking and it's nowhere near as good as he actually was.
Yeah,
he just rubbed people the wrong way.
I don't
or something.
ever remember him cutting a promo though. I really don't.
Like I do and probably from around this era when he was leading the stable, he was pretty okay at it.
Was he good?
I mean, it was the ECW backstage ones, so it's not necessarily the same as, but it's those are still hard to do.
Yeah.
Davey Boy Smith could never do those, and
no, because he's bizarre.
He
dumbass.
Did you see the Davey Boy Smith one, that the Cornette and Davey Boy that was going around the internet this week?
Nope.
They were both just coked out of their minds. Davey Boy's wearing a baseball cap for some reason back in their backstage, and somebody pointed out that Cornette in that shot is 35 years old, and he looks about 58 or whatever. It's amusing, but like I said, backstage promo, he couldn't do it. He was a big superstar. Just Incredible was pretty good at those. He was pretty good at everything. People just don't like him.
Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye. He
looks like Nicodemus the Rat.
He was very good at being a stable leader though, because he had his boy Jason hold a chair in front of Jerry Lynn, who is leaning on the bottom turnbuckle, and there was a running knee attack, which went to a swinging sit-down powerbomb onto that same chair.
Yeah, onto the chair.
The sequences in this fucking show are insane.
Nuts.
And the timing's right, and the placement of everything is right.
Yeah.
And if something breaks, we had a table failure a couple matches down the line from now, they just got another table. They didn't make a big fucking deal out of it.
Yeah.
They just,
or
the table broke and
they
used
took the broken table, and one of the coolest looking spots is
they took the broken other half of the broken table.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was ingenuity, on the spot thinking of these guys at the time. I mean, when you're working at that pace, I guess you probably kind of have to step up to that level of ingenuity.
Yeah.
But it's amazing.
All these matches feel like they sat down at breakfast and lunch and mapped out the entire match.
And also, even with that mapping, it felt like every one of the matches had 10 things that could have gone super horribly wrong.
Yes.
And didn't somehow.
Yes. No, they all did their fucking...
It's wild going back, the number of people that are alive and okay.
Well, they shouldn't be, because there's a lot of unprotected chair shots.
There's a bunch of stuff. Mike Awesome's no longer with us, unfortunately, and the only other guy I could think of was Big Dick Dudley, who didn't really take any bumps or anything on this. No. I couldn't really remember him taking a ton of bumps.
Yeah,
Big Dick, a painkiller.
Big Dick doesn't take; he gives.
Yeah,
gives chair shots. What do you think?
Masato Tanaka still he's still wrestling.
He
right
has
now.
to have the skull Homer Simpson has.
Absolutely.
When he fought
He's
Roderick Tatum.
insane. He wrestled like 3 weeks ago or something.
Yeah,
like,
it was brutal. So yeah, I wrote when he does the sit down power bomb, Jerry Lynn's head, just the back of his head, just lands right on the chair, and it's like unprotected chair shots.
I do think it. Yeah, there's a bunch of those.
Yeah, Jerry Lynn throws. Justin Credible throws Jerry Lynn to the outside. Nicole Bass and Jason getting their licks in. He hits Jerry Lynn with a fist / cupful of beer, which looked okay. It's a cool visual, but like you're like, it's a plastic cup, dude. He goes for a top rope double. He being Justin Credible goes for top rope double axe handle, and Jerry Lynn turns it into a flapjack, which looked cool. And then at this point, Shane Douglas says, "You see, you stay to your game plan. Justin Credible has not made his mark here by flying around the ring, and he made a mistake by going up top. Jerry Lynn is the flyer in these two." Shane Douglas gave actual goddamn good advice and analysis every time he opened his mouth.
He did full color. He did like it's Don Callis or Taz these days or whatever. Like, he's actually calling it like it's sport too. It was like he's giving
very refreshing to hear, and like some things where you're like
Don Callis, basically.
Yeah, making a bigger deal out of it. Who coincidentally would cut his teeth here in the ECW. But yeah, it was really refreshing at this point because up until as a kid, I'm used to just Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler just yelling about boobs all the time. And, so this was like presented like differently, which is again now we're used to it because we have AEW.
Like JR was great even then, but the color position particularly was never.
I never knew
it wasn't
color.
good because we didn't watch WCW as we've talked about back then. So like there was good there, like in instances of good color commentary there, but we weren't watching that.
I never knew the color commentator was supposed to like tell the story of
break
the
down,
match.
Like,
never knew that growing
of,
up because we had Jerry Lawler. And then when I finally saw one do it, I'm like, wait, what the fuck is that guy doing?
When I thought it was called color commentary because like colorful, because somebody who's going to be a personality, like didn't realize till later that it was like, well, it adds color to the story of the match. That's what we're supposed to be getting.
Which makes sense if you're like, that's back from radio broadcast days where just like building the suspense of you can't see the damn thing going on. So you have to talk me into the story.
It is. I am amused by, I forgot to mention, every time I watch an old ECW thing, that the refs look, their attire, they look like they work at a rent-a-car place in the airport. like, they absolutely like, I'm going to go get your Toyota Corolla, sir. Like
polo that merges into the pants, like the black bottom.
It looks like a uniform for 100%. And my other thing, like the ref thing, in this match particularly, but you could say it about really anything in ECW, because if we're going to be critical of it in modern shows that we watch right now, we should be critical of it here too. Like there is very little to zero consistency as to what the rules actually are in ECW. There's never a DQ. I don't think I've ever seen a DQ. It's basically every match is a hardcore match. But then they also do the thing where like they have to distract the ref for chastity to put the foot on the rope.
Yeah.
But like, why? Why do you have to distract the ref? Doesn't make any sense.
The fact that the main event was a Dudleyville street fight, no shit. Every match is a Dudleyville street fight.
And like Taz Van Van was also listed as a death match, and I'm like, wait, I just watched like Tanaka and Awesome. If that's not a death match, I don't know what it is.
I think in this world, death match means you can count
falls count anywhere.
Yeah,
they say both though. They say death match and also falls count anywhere. I'm like, you just say falls count anywhere.
The benefit of no internet and not really knowing what the fuck these phrases mean back in 1998 really played in their favor.
Like that, none of that bothers me. But the interference stuff, I was like watching it today. I'm like, be consistent.
Yeah.
Don't like have to hide that you're putting Chastity's putting Justin Credible's like foot on the rope when they're using foreign objects nonstop or international objects if you're Ted Turner.
That's right.
A nitpick. Like that was one of the few things, like I said, going back and watching through the lens of today. I don't love that. I don't mind like the pace and stuff because that's just they're part of their brand.
Yeah.
I dig that. But I would have liked a little more consistency as far as like what the rules are.
Up next, I'm halfway through this match, by the way, because there were so many fucking good spots.
No,
it's just incredible. Does an awesome swinging. I don't know if it was technically a boss man slam but like he did a fucking awesome replica of a boss man slam.
Yeah.
They do a cool, nice pinning combination. back and forth, which ends in a sit-down powerbomb onto Just Incredible. A lot of fucking... And they called what did he call them? It wasn't sit-down powerbombs.
Tiger Bomb.
Tiger Bomb.
Because it was Misawa.
Every fucking match had 17 Tiger Bombs.
Yeah.
It was a lot of the same shit. And like you started noticing after a while, it's like, I've seen this a lot already. I don't want to watch this anymore.
That was something that grabbed me back then, because I was always more of a fan of the sit-out powerbomb than the standing like jackknife powerbomb. And like when I would create my video game characters, they would use sit-out powerbombs and stuff. And I loved that, like, ECW, they do this thing that I love a million times. And you're right. Now watching it, I'm like, vary it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be better off just doing throwing in an atomic drop or something simple.
Yeah.
We don't need 50 sit-out power bombs in every match.
It was especially noticeable because Paul Heyman has very publicly said the way to book a show, which we've talked about in here, is you have to crescendo it.
Yeah.
Right. You can't put the same things in every match or else people will get bored. And like, it's like, Paul.
I will give him credit though.
Read
like,
your own pamphlet,
considering that all of the matches on this card were insane.
Yeah.
Like
they all felt different.
I didn't feel like I was like worn out or I was seeing a lot of repeat stuff, except for that kind of thing where like there's a couple moves that everybody was apparently in love with at that time.
Yeah.
And the sit-out powerbomb was definitely one of them.
They had a seminar on how to hit it. Everybody attended. They were not expecting full attendance. They were also not expecting Jerry Lynn to do one of the most legit avalanche hurricane ranas I've ever seen in my life. He looked like he pulled him the fuck down, like for real.
It looked like a jiu-jitsu move more than like a pro wrestling move.
Yeah.
So that was through the table on the outside, right?
No, that was just in the ring.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm thinking of it was a later match.
It's coming up.
Yeah. But Jerry, it looked like he was
dragged his ass off.
Yeah, all Japan ass realism there.
And he goes for a cover, and Just Incredible kicks out, and it's Shane Douglas highlights how had Jerry Lynn spread his legs while pinning, he would be using physics to add weight, and the kick out would need to have been more forceful. Again, Shane Douglas.
Watching this, I realized where Taz got his love of talking about like how important pinning combinations and the way that you distribute your weight and stuff. Yeah. He talks about that nonstop on AEW, and I'm like,
those favorite pay-per-views, Heatwave 98.
Shane Douglas is doing it throughout the show. He's talking about
like
Paul
Heyman thing,
probably.
Or he's like, hey, you go out, talk about this. Or he had cans on. He probably
talk about the specifics. Yeah.
Jerry Lynn gets it. I'm sorry, Just Incredible gets a chair at this point, and he ends up eating a DDT on said chair, and then the ref gets rid of the chair. And to your point, I'm like, I thought there was no disqualification.
Yeah,
why you get rid of the Also, I've seen the ring full of shit before. Why are you getting rid of the chair right now? Jerry Lynn, they have the table. He repositions the table, which is already set up outside. Just Incredible is positioned like he's sitting on the top rope. And this is what you were talking about. Jerry Lynn does the avalanche hurricane rana through the table outside. And he didn't drag it out at all. This wasn't like how when we're watching modern wrestling and we're setting up high spots and it takes super long. Jerry Lynn did it like he had no time to do this.
Trying to win a match.
He was trying to win the goddamn match.
And none of these matches is there like a setup for anything, or the wrestler then does the thing where they like look both ways to the crowd and look what I'm gonna do. The closest thing is like Mike Awesome screaming Awesome Bomb, but he's like doing that while he's already pulling Tanaka up into the Awesome Bomb. Every one of these matches feels like I'm trying to win this goddamn thing,
right? Which was, I think that might have been a refreshing aspect of watching this too, because on modern day wrestling across the board, we don't see any of that. We don't
like, not just modern day. You don't see that in American wrestling ever, except in ECW.
Yeah,
it's never like it exists in Japan.
Yeah,
but it doesn't exist here. Like except for this era of ECW wrestling.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
It's really different. Like I can't get over like how fun this is, because it is the most. And like I said, I used to watch it when I was younger. I don't remember noticing such a stark contrast in the companies. It makes the wrestlers feel more legit too. When you're trying to win all the time.
Well. We were young too, so we were dumb.
Yeah.
Now we can actually look back with a little bit of a critical eye and say, this is why this rules.
Right.
Like we knew it ruled, just didn't know why.
Back
as much.
then, I was more concerned with what the most intense roller coaster at Great America was.
Exactly. Yeah.
Current day 2024, it is still the American Needle because it will break your spine.
It sounds like it's going to
break your
erupt into a million splinters every time you ride it.
Jerry Lynn goes for a cover. Chastity distracts. Jason hits Jerry Lynn with a steel chair.
Did you ever see Jason wrestle?
No,
me neither.
I don't
What's
want
his
to.
deal?
No, he's one of his boys.
He looks like a male adult film star who just will like work in any kind of an adult film, whether it be gay, straight, with animals. Like he gives off that vibe, and I've never seen the man wrestle. He makes me uncomfortable every time I see him. I like even back in the day, I was like, "Who's this sleazeball?" Why?
But would you agree he is the sexiest man alive?
I agree that he probably believes he's the sexiest man alive. I didn't check on him. I bet he's dead.
Oh, we're laughing at the wrong stuff.
Lost his mind from chlamydia or something.
He just got tired of looking in the mirror in the morning saying, sexiest man alive, sexiest man alive.
He's either dead or DDP has like saved his life. He's one of those guys.
Well, if he's alive, we'll know because he'll be in the accountability crib sooner than later. Nicole Bass comes into the ring.
She's an impressive person.
Yeah. Howard Stern alumni, Nicole Bass. She puts Jerry Lynn into a fireman's carry. Jerry Lynn wiggles free, and then he kneels down, and he just hits her in the nuts, and then hit a chair shot to the back, and Joey Styles goes, right in the nuts, don't tell me otherwise.
Yeah.
Because we were uncomfortable with a masculine woman in the 90s.
Well, like the
we being like all of
everybody
American culture.
The anti-trans jokes or whatever, not a lot of homophobic stuff here, which is
zero.
I was surprised by.
Almost zero.
It was 1998.
Yeah.
Like WWF at the time would be like every other
was
thing
their
is a gay
whole brand.
joke. Yeah. But yeah, and it was only a little bit of like the Nicole Bass stuff, like, oh shit, man, we don't know.
Yeah.
But that was really it. So I was actually pleasantly surprised by how there's a lot of sexuality and stuff, but like it was more, I don't know, it felt more like willing participants, not people being made fun of or looked down on.
Yeah.
The Nicole Bass couple of jokes was the only thing I was like, that aged bad. But
Also, too,
still,
coming from Stern, like,
yeah, that was the whole thing. That was the entire character on Stern.
She's pretty callous to that.
Yeah.
Just almost at the end. Jerry Lynn gets Chastity, and he just tombstones her.
Yeah.
Which Joey Styles says, I don't condone violence, but that pain in the ass has been asking for it all summer long. Big ol' ECW chance after Chastity gets tombstone. And then the finish, we saw just Jerry Lynn.
The scariest goddamn move I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I had to I think his head hit. Jerry Lynn's going for an avalanche, spinning Hurricane Rana. So he's like standing. So just Incredible sitting on the top turnbuckle. And Jerry Lynn's kind of standing behind him where it's like, oh, he's going to jump on his shoulder, spin around, and assumingly do a avalanche Hurricane Rana. At least that's what I got out of it. But Just Incredible gives him a nut shot, and he turns it into an avalanche tombstone, which is also called That's Incredible.
Yeah. Well, the regular tombstones did That's Incredible, I think.
Yeah, he spins, though.
Yeah. He does the spin around.
So this is an avalanche.
I don't think I've ever seen an avalanche tombstone otherwise, because, there's no way to perform this safely.
They probably had one on Rampage last week.
Yeah. But, I really don't think there's a way to perform this move in a safe way. They're lucky he didn't break his neck this time, but I don't think you could do that safely.
Yeah, physics will drop you.
It's
very easily
because you're not putting your legs out, so you're not. They can't put the brunt of your opponent's weight on your legs and your thighs or whatever. It would have to
be more of like a power slam.
It's just like a timing thing.
Yeah, it's tough. But that's the match afterwards. Everybody,
it looked fucking awesome.
It looked amazing.
And I know that Jerry Lynn's still alive and working as an agent in AEW, so. Cool, but and
he didn't even have to go to the accountability crib. Everybody minus Jason and Just Incredible's laid out. And then both Jerry Lynn and Just Incredible, they're looking pretty fucking strong after this match. Jerry Lynn was so good.
Yeah, he was. He was
good.
So far ahead of his time too. He was incorporating stuff from everywhere around the world, working at this pace. I always talk about the RVD Jerry Lynn matches, but Jerry Lynn kind of worked his pace in all of his matches.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
He could do that. And taking moves like we're talking about, these super dangerous things without ever really having a serious, life-threatening injury or anything is Will Ospreay stuff. That the dude is absolutely, I guess that's why he's agenting matches for, the best in the world
also,
right now.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I've ever heard him cut a promo either. I'm sure he has.
They're fine. He's not a bad promo. He's got a real heavy Southern accent, which
I don't know what he sounds like.
Up against the other mostly East Coast people in this promotion at this time was kind of jarring.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly. But he's only an okay talker.
Good. Don't let him talk then.
But fine.
Good. Yay, Paul
absolutely
Heyman.
incredible.
And
right?
that's saying something, man. That guy is remembered as fondly as he is, and I don't fucking remember him talking.
Yeah.
And I remember the IC title transition on an In Your House from 1995.
I couldn't tell you like a single promo he cut. I just remember thinking, oh, his southern accent sounds kind of funny on this show.
Okay.
But I don't even have like a solid memory like with you of him talking, and still he's incredible.
Incredible.
He's not just the coolest.
No, he's just incredible. And Jerry incredible. Up next was another fucking incredible match. And by the way, match to match to match, they paced this show super well, where they gave you a bunch of action up front, and then they just started trickling in promo throughout. It wasn't like match, promo, match, promo, match, promo like we're used to today. They actually thought about it. And the next match was Lance Storm versus Chris Candido with a debuting?
It was
returning?
Fired from WWF like that week.
Yeah. Tammy Lynn Sitch,
huge
who
surprise.
was also known as Sunny. This match went
She was very, very high when she came out.
A little bit.
Her eyes were going in many directions.
When she started to talk, you're like, all right, no, maybe not. This went 11 minutes even.
Lance Storm is maybe my personal most underrated wrestler that's ever lived.
How about it?
Like, I think he is like Bret Hart, and nobody looks at him that way.
No, he's right
like,
there.
I back then too, I was like, why isn't this guy the biggest star? And when he went to WWF, I was so excited. And then they gave him like the boring guy gimmick or whatever. But still, even with that, his matches all ruled. Yeah. Like he like Bret. The reason I make the comparison is not just because Bret's awesome. It's that awesome in that specific way where I don't remember him ever like anything not looking super crisp, ever making a mistake or ever hurting anybody. No. Like this match was amazing.
So fucking good.
I would have actually like scaled back on the big spots because I think these two were good enough at the regular wrestling. Yeah. I would have kind of rather seen more of that between them. I mean, the high spots were obviously amazing and like super fun, but like that's my only criticism of the match would be like these two are so great and they have so much chemistry together that like I would have liked to have seen more of a traditional match here.
Well, they had they kind of sprinkled in something that might have kicked up the intensity, where they said that in kayfabe, Lance Storm and Chris Candido stopped getting along because apparently Lance Storm and Tammy Sitch had eyes for each other.
Yeah. How many times did they use the Sunny Tammy Sitch has eyes for somebody like thing?
I couldn't also get over this entire match. I'm like, okay, so what's going on in WWF right now? We're at WrestleMania 14, right?
Yeah.
So we're at like Shawn Michaels is about to go away. So we're at peak like problem Shawn Michaels.
Yes.
Right? So he has, and Davey Boy Smith.
Yeah.
Have both had lots of fun.
Get some jeans tucked into the boots era, Davey Boy Smith.
Well, they came off with Tammy Lynn Sitch because they both dated her in WWF. And then Chris Candido.
And I kind of blame her for Chris Candido's death. I gotta say, I don't usually, but the JR Jezebel, the one instance where I think it might be appropriate is like Chris Candido and Tammy Lynn Sitch.
What did she do? He had blood clots.
He had blood clots that were, a lot of people think at least,
she put the blood clots
heavily
there?
Like his health issues were because of like heavy drug use that he didn't.
I see.
At least according to Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
That he would not have and never did partake in until like hooking up with her, and then she was very, very much a partier. Got him into the lifestyle, and a lot of people think that that's what led to the health problems that ultimately cost him his life.
And then she put the blood clots in.
Yes.
I didn't know you could do that. What a devious plan. They do refer to Lance Storm, the squeaky clean of the bunch here, former prospect of the Triple Threats franchise, and former prospect of Triple Threat franchise. I don't know what the fuck that means. I wrote it word for word. And he is a graduate of Stu Hart's Dungeon.
Yep.
All right. So Chris Candido comes out. He has no gimmicks needed, Chris Candido. He's wearing an amateur wrestling headgear because his ear was torn off by Sabu and Rob Van Dam.
Wasn't quite torn off the way McFoley happened, but it was pretty
during
close.
A Rolling Thunder, too. It was just like a normal-ass move.
It's because really what it was he's already had the super cauliflowered ear that you can, some of those guys, you can like snap those things off like it's a Pringle or something. And that's kind of what happened. It didn't come all the way off, but like the cartilage cracked. Yeah. I did way too much research into whether his ear actually came off. But that's why like when the headgear does come off, Joey Styles is like, oh, it looks fine because he had reconstructive surgery. Like it looks fine because it didn't get ripped off in the way that Mick Foley's did.
Right.
Like the Vader match.
The
like,
ear ripped off precedent was set unrealistically high.
Yeah.
It's not like, somebody had a broken arm. You could think of 80 broken arms. You're like, hey, that could be a varying degree of an injury.
Exactly.
We're like, hey, we ear ripped off. Oh my God, it's in
Mick
a
Foley doesn't have an ear.
Chris Candido has Mick Foley ear. That's our only basis for comparison. But yeah, they do. Joey Styles does mention he had plastic surgery to have it reattached, which is why he's wearing the headgear. And to your point, when the headgear comes off later, extra layer of drama.
Yeah.
Tammy Sytch was released recently from WWE, as you just mentioned. Tammy Sytch comes out with Chris Candido, gives Chris Candido a big smooch, and then he runs around barking, doing the Rick Steiner shtick.
I love that. I love the Dogface Gremlin callback because he's wearing the
Just
headgear.
the headgear,
It was
yeah.
great. When Tammy also does the, unless you're going to get to it still, the announcing.
It's the next thing.
Okay.
Do you want to read it?
No, you go for it. I thought you were past it, so I wanted, because that one line I just love so much. I wanted to make sure that we touched on it at least. So,
the ring announcer goes to do Chris Candido's ring announcement, because I think I skated over this. Every match gets Roman Reigns level ring announcements in this company, and it makes everything feel awesome.
It does. I don't love the ring announcer because of his ridiculous like Jersey accent, but I love the practice, like the act of doing the entrance music, guys come out, and then
once everybody's in the ring,
the real like big fight for everybody.
Loved it. Do that, more of that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's about to do Chris Candido's ring announcement. Tammy Sytch grabs the mic and he said, "You want to know? Do you want to know?" Though she actually says, I think everybody here, Mr. Ortiz, thinks that I can do this better than you can. No one thought that.
No.
From Spring Lake, New Jersey, or anywhere else he damn well pleases, weighing 240 of the hardest pounds I've ever felt.
That literally made me laugh out loud. I'm like, oh man, he died. Candido is like 68% steroid at this point in his career.
Also,
he's like the hardest looking dude I've ever seen.
The way she's talking to him feels like someone that did something terrible to someone was forgiven, and I was vastly overcompensating. Like she's being way too affectionate, like
that's
and pumping
probably
him up.
Accurate to life.
But I'm watching this. I'm like, I know for a fact you were just banging Shawn Michaels forever, and you were like kind of an ingredient in like Bret Hart leaving the company forever.
Watch the Dark Side of the Ring with Tammy and Candido, and Tammy does not come away.
No, it's
looking
tough.
good.
It's tough.
Like,
but she does. He is Mr. No Gimmicks.
He's supposed to be the best guy ever too. Like everybody that worked with him was like, he was super nice. He was like helpful in the ring despite us being competitors or whatever. And like everybody talks about Tammy's like, well, she certainly liked to party. She was a bad influence.
Soma is a word.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave that there. The match, it's billed. These are two former ECW World Tag Team Champions. They were the champs together.
Great tag champs.
Yeah, Joey Styles suspects that this will be an old-fashioned grudge match, and there's some initial pleasantries with both playing nice, and he's like, oh, maybe it'll just be a match between two great sportsmen. And then Landstorm kicks Candido in the stomach. He goes, as I said, this is going to be an old-fashioned grudge match.
I love Joey Styles so much. I also love that I know that he knocked JBL's stupid ass out one time. Yeah. It makes me able to look back even more fondly on his work in ECW.
Yeah, you can back it up. He wasn't just like a whiny little dude. Yeah. He just, he was able to stand up for himself. Chris Candido goes for a leapfrog, and Lance Storm hits a spinning back kick.
Yeah.
Well, Chris Candido was mid-air. It's super Owen Hartish. I loved it.
It's better than Owens.
Lance Storm
is awesome.
He's putting on a fucking clinic.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I like the reason I love the goddamn half crab is because of his rolling half crab he did in like 80% of his matches. Like, I just love that guy always, and I never understood why he wasn't a giant star.
Well, because The Rock was having tissue removed and needed to stay at the top of the card. God forbid we let somebody else. Maybe sit a couple plays out, Rock. You sat home for decades. Yeah. Like, you could have sat around. It
was notorious that era and prior, guys being weird about losing their spots.
Yeah.
So, like, unfortunately, that was the way the business was.
This one, you can kind of add a little bit more mustard to because Lance Storm was the guy that started the invasion.
Yeah.
he was the first guy where you're like, holy shit, it's begun.
The most believable of all of them.
Yeah, super kick bailed.
Like,
I did love that he had his ring gear on when he did
it.
It made me laugh. It's like a little kid getting dressed up to go to a
He
movie.
reminds me of Pac in a lot of ways. Like he's the kind of dude that just would have his ring gear on at all times, just in case. Like the moment arose where he had to pro wrestle at any given time. Like
he just said Applebee's.
He's got good
his hair's all wet. Like, can I get a baked potato?
Getting a pump on at all times, just in case. Like,
and then I don't know where Ray Phoenix comes in. He's like, just trying. Right. It would be Alex Abrahantes.
Yeah.
He's like, I got a bill. He's like, I'll pay for your bill later. And then like they run right to Daly's place and they're fighting for the trios titles against House of Black and greatest match of all time.
Yeah, now I want this to happen. I haven't watched all of Dynamite yet. Hopefully that occurs.
If they mention Applebee's at any point, Pac has had a twice baked potato.
But Lance Storm just rules.
Yeah, he's great. Chris Candido is also not too bad. He does a top rope dive to Lance Storm on the outside. Just like regular ass shit is how they perceive big moves. Like in 2024, it's like, I'm just gonna go on the top rope and jump outside.
Yeah,
and it's fine. And like that would be a like tide changing moment in any other match. I mean,
honestly, we would complain about it today if it happened on either of the shows. Like this many like big high spots that didn't lead to like somebody being done for. We'd be like, okay, this is not believable. But for whatever reason. I'm not for whatever reason, but because this was just the style of ECW, it's easier to accept, and it makes it feel okay watching it because it's like you're watching a different thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a lot of like big.
Also, too, like Macho Man would jump from the top rope to the outside all the time in the 80s. So like elements of that, I don't want to take points away from how much I fucking love this. So I'm going to argue as hard as I can to keep the high spots special.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you in general.
I get what you're saying.
But I'm okay with the crazy high spots on ECW specifically.
I'm just being a
it can get out of hand in AEW occasionally because they do wrestle more of a hybrid style. They aren't straight ECW million miles an hour, tons of chair shots, high spots. Like when they do spam the super crazy high spots too much, and it's not like very clearly like a fighting spirit kind of thing.
Yeah.
That can feel a little off sometimes.
Dude, on this show, it got to be a little much. You're like, all right.
Yeah.
One, maybe two times where you're like, all right, this is a little, you'd be dead right now.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But no, so it's not
but it does work better here than it would anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because it's ECW.
Maybe because, like, again, they're trying to win. Like, and everything looks like legit, not a lot of setup.
It helps.
Man, I wouldn't have guessed how much it helped.
Yeah.
Like, this is really going to ruin modern wrestling for me. Chris Candido, this is a dope fucking spot. Chris Candido puts Lance Storm in a submission where he's sitting and he pulls Lance Storm's arms behind his back.
Yeah.
Storm stands up. He still has his arms behind his back.
Bow and arrow? Is that what it's called? I think it's a bow and arrow.
Yes. We'll go with that. And then Lance Storm, with his arms behind his back, jumps and does a forward front flip, which like simultaneously drop kicks Chris Candido.
Like a mule kick, like a drop kick mule. It's a very Joshi, like Japanese women. I always talk about like
now that you mention it,
Toyota,
yes,
like,
absolutely.
It's one of those. Like it's very much one of those. Like
once you said it, that does make a ton of sense now. Lance Storm in Japan ever?
Not in my memory, no. And he very much and he must have.
Seems like he would have thrived there.
He did so much stuff that was heavily influenced by Japanese wrestling that like he had to have been. I mean, but the only guy from this show that I know like big time Japanese career because he really was just a Japanese wrestler who occasionally would do guest spots was Mike Awesome.
Yeah. I do remember that, yeah. So, let's see. Lance Storm at some point gets tripped by Tammy Lynn Sitch. He goes out, chases her around the ring, and then when he runs back into the ring, he ends up eating you're never going to guess he tiger bombed.
Yeah. Yeah.
By Chris Candido.
Great looking tiger bomb, though.
Shane Douglas chimes in. He highlights that, of course, Chris Candido goes for a cover after this, and there's a kick out. Shane Douglas highlights that if Chris Candido had hooked the leg closer to the ropes, it would have made it more difficult for Lance Storm to kick out.
And also that you're never going to pin a triple threat member without leveraging properly.
Sure.
Which I thought was cool. A nice little addition, too.
Are they... Lance Storm... Yeah, these two were... Lance Storm was already in Triple Threat, right? No,
Yeah.
not yet.
He had been in, because
Does he
Shane
go?
Douglas
Does
talks
he go
about it.
back in? Or is
He might have. I
because,
don't know that. He definitely was at this point because Shane Douglas talks about it in the match.
Is Dawn Marie around yet? Because Dawn Marie and him.
She's not on this show.
And he was in Triple Threat when.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's
must have
going back.
Yeah, he must have gone back.
Oh man, Turnbuckle Time Machine's gonna see a lot of ECW moving forward. Chris Candido does a delayed vertical suplex, which again, for as much fucking wild shit that they're doing in this match, like it's classic wrestling that they do perfectly well.
It's like I said, I wouldn't have minded a straight up
just
a sprint regular ass match.
I can see why you got taste of it here. At some point, Chris Candido does a middle rope leg drop, which he does like the Matt Hardy leg drop. He calls it the New Jersey Jam, which made me embarrassed.
It's because of Bobby Eaton. It's his is the Alabama Jam.
Oh, okay.
And that's where he
talking about Earl of Eden.
Yeah, the Earl of Eden.
If you have not listened to last week's Turnbuckle Time Machine, beautiful Bobby Eaton may have made an appearance in a cosplay manner
as a different character than we're used to. Speaking of a thing I think we talked about on the last episode as well. I know it recently, at least, we talked about never having seen a snap suplex from the inside to the floor.
Yeah.
Didn't happen in this match, too. I think it happens more brutally in this match than when we just saw it.
Was it in this match?
I think so. I think it was Storm. Yeah, it was. It was Storm snap suplexing Candido to the concrete. And I was we just said we never saw this before. Now, a few days later, I'm watching it and I'm like, that's way scarier because there's no mat or anything. And he just does it as hard as he can.
And then follows it up with a baseball slide that sends Chris Candido into the first row.
Yeah.
And then Lance Storm just springboard dives over the guardrail onto Chris Candido, who's comfortably sitting in the first row of the fence. One thing I did like, and I remember this when I was a kid, but I forgot, they pulled the guardrails closer to the ring.
Yeah.
So
they did it all the time. They would move it to set stuff up.
And one, obviously for safety purposes, but it just made them look like they were going way further than they were. Just little fucking camera tricks like that.
Absolutely.
Oh, and
it's also where I fell in love with, as I've talked about before on this podcast, the clankery old metal.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the sound of them. I like moving them around. I just like that better than like the LED stuff.
Right.
So I was happy when AEW went back to the old looking kind of lower rent ones. I like the way they look and sound, and that you can manipulate them and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, just wait until AEW gets their Slim Jim sponsorship back, and then they're going to fucking have video walls everywhere. Because you got to let the people know where the Slim Jim advertising goes. It's on the LED boards. Lance Storm does a superplex and then a top rope spinning heel kick to Chris Candido. This motherfucker's just so much fun to watch.
Perfect.
And he
wrestler.
never gasses out or anything. And at this point, I wrote...
He really breaks his sweat.
Never, no.
He's unbelievable.
Already too many tiger
what?
bumps.
He's also got pretty decent takes now as an old guy.
He's my favorite one.
All those guys have asshole takes, and he's the only one that's just reasonable
he's
adult.
My favorite one
when he's talking about stuff. Absolutely.
The finish saw Tammy Sitch hands Chris Candido a bag of powder.
I'm like, Tammy's not giving up her stash.
Well, if it's a stash of baby powder, which is the literally only thing this could have been.
It's Mr. Fuji's superfine salt. What we talked about before.
I'm just amazed that Hulk Hogan didn't run out to console Lance Storm after this match was over and then challenge Chris Candido for the WWE World Championship as is tradition.
Right now.
Chris Candido he's holding the bag of powder and Lance Storm sees it. He slaps it up into Chris Candido's face. And this was fun.
I love Candido's goofy ass telling of everything about the powder in the face thing.
He couldn't see.
He's doing it in a clownish way, but in a legit. Usually, when wrestling tries to be funny, it's not.
No.
But occasionally, somebody can do it that can really pull it off. Like Orange Cassidy, for example. Candido here. It was like, oh, that's awesome. He's swinging like a maniac because he can't see, but he's really selling it. I mean, it's cartoonish, but in a great way.
Yeah. He punches the ref because he's blind. And then Lance Storm hits a leaping sidekick. He climbs for assumingly a moonsault because his back is to the ring. Tammy Sitch gets in the ring and
caresses his bum.
She just starts rubbing his butt, and then she shoves him so he's crouched on the top rope. So he's just sitting there. The ref tries to get Tammy Sitch out of the ring, and he has like his hands like on her top.
Yeah.
Chris Candido's still blind. Finds a warm body wearing pants. Thinks it's Lance Storm, and he does a roll up, thinking it's Surf. And when the ref gets rolled up, he pulls Tammy Sitch's dress down.
Yeah,
and and then she moves it down more and more as like it goes down. But we're seemingly just got a wardrobe malfunction, and then all of that is a comedy spot, which is just negated by. Chris Candido does the blonde bombshell.
Jesus Christ, I thought the Tombstone was the scariest move I've ever seen. This top rope, I know I've seen him do top rope power bombs before. Yeah. This would look like he could have, like Lance Storm could have died very easily. Like it looked incredible, and I loved Candido sell after he hits the power bomb, pops back up, and he's still doing the like I'm fucking out of it.
Yeah.
Really well in like an amusing way, and the way he falls on him and pins him looks cool too. But the move itself is just like one of those like holy shit.
It's terrifying. Chris Candido also did this in Survivor Series 1995 in the opening match. I remember watching this because 1995 is apparently cemented in my brain. I'm a little boy. I'm like, how the hell are they going to top a top rope power bomb in this?
Really, never did. No, never did. Nobody does them anymore either because it's a back bump from like 20 feet in the air.
Yeah, it's tough. It's flat, but like so are you.
It's flat if you don't make any mistakes.
Yeah,
like if you do it perfectly, it's very damaging because it's like a 20-foot back bump. Like, and if you don't do it perfectly, it could end a life.
How did it go? As well as it could have. Can you hand me my straw?
Yeah, I need orthopedic surgery today.
Match is over. Chris Candido wins, and then he and Tammy Sitch leave celebrating. Oh, holy shit. Yeah. Holy shit.
It's amazing.
It's just such a good... That was Skip of the Body Donnas.
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
Yeah. And then and featuring Lance Storm, the Can I Be Serious for a Minute guy.
Yeah. Man, good creative makes the world a difference. Now I'm starting to think, this pay-per-view really made me highlight, like, what actually makes a star? Like, I don't think it's as much talent as I thought it was.
I think it varies based on where you are.
Yeah.
Like in the WWE, to be a star, there are like a certain set of skills that you need to have. Back in the day, you also needed Vince just to like decide on a whim that he was going to push you, and not give you a stupid like career destroying gimmick. But like generally, it's like a charisma, a ability to cut a certain kind of promo, and to work your matches in a way that escalates properly and then ends when when you have the matches at its peak.
Yeah.
You get, that's the in-ring skill to me, I think, in WWE that you need. And like AEW, it's just a different set of things. It's
Which is why you weight it differently. Kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you weight things differently.
So like to be a star, but you do all, like, no matter what, you need somebody with a pencil that's not going to fuck you over.
Yeah.
Which like ECW, Heyman has talked at length about this. He never really takes credit for booking. What he takes credit for is taking the handcuffs off. He's like, these people are talented. That's like one of the things I like about AEW. And it can be a detriment sometimes. And like the worst ECW stuff that you'd see on TNN TV sometimes would there would be evidence of this too. But Heyman always just said, I took the handcuffs off. Let these talented individuals do what they can do.
Yeah.
They'll come up with their own characters. They'll like work their own matches the way that they know is going to be entertaining, and I'm going to let them do it. And they'll sink or swim. And the people that swam get put on a pay-per-view, and that's how you get Lance Storm and Chris Candido. WWE or WWF, especially back then, it was very like you're playing to an audience of one, so you need to only do this few things that this one guy really likes.
Right.
And then even if you do that, you also it's a coin flip that like whether he decides he likes you or not, and then is gonna like on his own come up with a character that you have to do that you don't have much input on. Like there's precious few examples of guys in the Vince era that like did kind of their own thing. Stone Cold, like The Rock eventually. Mm-hmm. most of them are like it's this one guy coming up with an idea. So like you really needed to have that specific set of circumstances. But I think in ECW, what you need to be a star is just talent and motivation, tons of motivation. Like, and that's AEW similar too.
That's fair. Yeah, I see more parallels with. Well, I see more present day parallels with AEW. I certainly see more attitude era parallels with WWF because, and like end of WCW, because I think without ECW, I think wrestling might not be a thing anymore. Because it was
certainly be different.
My God, it was down the shitter for a while. But awesome match. Next, we have a recap of what happened. It was an incident that happened earlier this evening in the parking lot.
New Jack standing in front of a bunch of white people that he definitely hates in real life.
Man, the more you hear interviews about him and like, I don't know. Actually, just the mass transit incident is all I need to know about New Jack.
And the fact that he did the equivalent of the mass transit incident to like 3 other people too. Yeah. Like
the mass transit incident, for people who do not know, was they were looking for an opponent because I believe somebody dropped out, and some kid said that, I'm a wrestler, and he fudged his age.
Yeah, 17-year-old kid.
Yeah, and New Jack tried to legit. It's not even like he tried to legit murder.
Yeah. Stabbed him a bunch of times. Also stabbed. What's his Hobo something? It was like an old school hardcore wrestler guy. Yeah. Like 10 years later, did that. Tried to kill Vic Grimes in a scaffolding match, which he admitted to. I was trying to kill him, and he very clearly was trying to kill him. Yeah. Threw him off of a scaffolding. It was like 35 feet in the air. Like totally missing the tables that usually, act as some kind of a cushion, just to the floor. It's amazing the guy didn't die.
He did land on the ropes a little
bit.
Kind of.
Like his butts or whatever hit but like,
I think that's the only
thing that saved him. Like he should have died.
It's tough.
New Jack,
fall.
Bad person.
Yeah, also not with us anymore. So but he's out in the parking lot with a bunch of fans hyping up the show. And he's talking shit to Jack Victory, who he's facing tonight. I forgot Jack Victory was a human.
Jack Victory might be the only wrestler that's lower than Tamina on my own personal ranking scale. Jack Victory is fucking useless. Yeah. I've seen him wrestle like twice. Trash. According to everybody else I've ever talked to or heard or read that has seen the man wrestle, trash. And he cuts a not a very intimidating form when he comes walking out to confront New Jack here with his like tucked in t-shirt to his little gym shorts and his big fat belly hanging over the belt.
That's what made it tough guy. Out of shape, in shape, tough guys. Like where they suck the guts in.
I assume they only booked this match because they knew they were going to cancel the match.
Yeah.
For an angle, because like Jack Victory not going to be working on ECW pay-per-view. Like that dude shouldn't be on AEW Dark. Like
moments ago, we were just talking about how you just need talent to be on ECW programming. Paul Heyman not batting 1,000, as we said it also earlier. But New Jack's talking shit to Jack Victory, and New Jack sees Jack Victory walking up, so they square off, and a car pulls up, and out comes Bubba Ray, Devon, and Big Dick Dudley, and they attack New Jack, and then Jack Victory throws New Jack into a car like they're beating the shit out of him.
Well, they kind of. It's very amusing to me that New Jack, goddamn New Jack, so like the guy that tries to kill everybody, that only wrestles like death matches his whole career. His head looks like goddamn Abdullah the Butcher already at this point.
Tough.
He gets taken out of his match by like a bonk on the car. Like Jack Victory really bonks his head on the hood, and then Axel Rotten is cradling New Jack's head like a baby, going, please, somebody, we need some medical attention. Like I've seen New Jack throw a guy 35 feet off a scaffolding, like, and then jump off himself.
Yeah.
Like, but the boop guy, they were like, oh yeah, unfortunately now we can't have this match.
Well, we've never seen him interact with cars before.
Yeah, maybe it's a kryptonite.
It's his kryptonite.
It's 1980 or 1998 Buick Century or whatever that was. Kryptonite.
They made cars harder back then. Axel Rotten and Balls Mahoney come out to intervene, and they come out to intervene, poorly.
Yeah,
they offer no help.
Yeah, their intervening was Axel Rotten cradling down to New Jack's head. Please, someone! Like it's his infant dying son or something.
They cut back to Joey Styles, Shane Douglas, and Francine. Joey Styles says that this is why the weapons match.
Yeah, which like What was the thing we just watched?
While he's doing this announcement in the background, the crowd is chanting "Goldberg sucks," and Shane Douglas looks like Jerry Lawler looked when Owen Hart died.
Yeah.
He looks like the colors out of his face, and he's just got these like straight dead eye stares. Like, he's great as a character.
Super awesome.
Yeah.
You know who else is awesome as a character during these Francine. Every time they cut, she's like is still doing her stuff. She's like kissing at the camera or like pretending like she's doing her makeup and like she's just in character at all times.
Yeah. Yeah, she was.
But Shane Douglas is like fantastic at color commentary.
My God, he had a. Oh, speaking of Balls Mahoney and Axel Rotten, we did jump over the. There was one dark match on this show, and it was Balls Mahoney and Axel Rotten, who go by the team of the Hardcore Chair Swinging Freaks.
Yeah, which they were.
Defeated the Full-Blooded Italians.
I always enjoyed Balls' look. He couldn't really wrestle, and his whole thing was hitting people with chairs. But I liked the way his torn jean shorts looked. Like he just like had a good look.
I feel like I saw Balls Mahoney at every concert I went to up until a certain age.
That's what he was going for, and he nailed it.
Succeeded. But yeah, so they Little Guido and Tracy Smothers. Yeah, they lost to. Who the fuck
Little Guido and Tracy Smothers also can very much go.
Yeah, Balls Mahoney and Axel Rotten defeated them tonight, though.
Axel Rotten, brother of a guy that I mentioned in a very early Blue Thunder podcast, Ian Rotten, when I was talking about scumbag promoters that would have 1 billion cell phones.
Yeah.
Ian Rotten is the guy that came to mind. It's Axel's brother.
Oh, all right. I like him.
Yeah, me too.
Speaking of things I like, we go backstage with Rob Van Dam, Bill Alfonso, and Sabu. I wrote word for word what this trash was.
So, Bill Alfonso is the most ridiculous human being in the world. He looks like Heyman just found somebody living in a dumpster, like subsiding just on like methamphetamine and Skittles, and said, "Okay, now you're a manager. Go on TV talk." Yeah.
It's perfect.
And that's what he does.
Teeth aren't great. Hygiene doesn't look great. His hat looks like he made it.
He's kind of separated from reality at all times.
Has zero affiliation with either of these two guys who already have no affiliation. Like none of these guys look like they've ever met. No, let alone should be a team. Like let alone a tag team.
Sabu looked like a badass in a suit, though.
Yeah. So Bill Alfonso, I'm not going to scream like a lunatic like he did because he just knows one speed and volume of voice, and it is what you do when you're trying to get the attention of someone that is 300 feet away.
And a train is about to hit them.
He goes, Heatwave 98, baby. Shinzaki, Hayabusa, Kawaki, I don't care what your name is, Japanese superstars, but you're going to be a big fat loser. 0. Heatwave 98. It's Mr. Monday Night Daddy and Sabu. That's the superstars you're going to face tonight, brother. Man, he's really adding a lot to this build.
I'm impressed that you were able to translate Bill Alfonso to English.
I may or may not have had closed captioning on, which, again, kudos to the closed captioning team. Rob Van Dam. By the way, this version of Rob Van Dam I don't remember until I watched this.
Super cocky.
Super cocky. Yeah.
I liked it. I liked the super cocky.
He had like valley cockiness, like California, like villain in an 80s movie cockiness.
I thought it worked.
It was amazing. Because like juxtaposed to this fucking guy that lives in a dumpster next to him, like he looked super like clean and maintained.
And the three of them too. It's like it's Van Dam doing that like super like crazy confidence, like psychotically confident kind of, and then Sabu just looks like
psychotic,
like Muhammad Bone Sawman's like #1 hitman or something. Like
he looks like a problem.
He's scary as hell. And then this fucking like methed out weasel maniac screaming in the middle of him.
It's like he won a sweepstakes at the shelter.
I know his history. I know he was like a WWF ref. We talked about him WrestleMania 9. But he just looks like they found him on the streets of somewhere
WrestleMania
not
9?
good.
It's been a bad 5 years for Mr. Alfonso.
Yeah, he was he was Giant Gonzalez, ragdolled him around after the Undertaker match.
Now that you mention it, you'll have to forgive me if I removed all things from that match from my brain. Rob Van Dam starts.
Maybe that's why Alfonso turned into what he turned into. He got brain damage from getting whipped around by Giant Gonzalez.
There would have at least been some explanation. He still has his ref. If he still had his ref shirt on and it's all tattered, and shit, that would have been fun. Rob Van Dam, oh, come on, Fonzie. I mean, we're here. Relax already. We're here because Mr. Monday Night brought us to the top, right? And Sabu shoves him like a feral animal. Yeah. Sabu does not love that. Like, they're frenemies. That's the tag team arrangement.
They kind of were the whole time. They were like champs for a long time and stuff, and they were feuding the whole time that they were
just
tag,
unbeatable, but they hated each other. And Van Dam just, like, never raises any ire or anger towards Sabu, and he gets shoved or get his face in a couple times.
Like the most confident dude I've ever seen.
It's almost like he's has some kind of substance in him to relax him.
Yeah.
Can't imagine what that. Perhaps some Dr. Pepper. So, like I said, I was going to Sabu. Already worth the money they spent on tonight's pay-per-view event. It's Rob Van Dam, everybody's favorite, and you too, Sabu. And they all want to see Rob Van Dam and you, my partner, Sabu, defend my World Tag Team belt. Hey, these belts are recognized worldwide, brother. The contenders tonight came all the way from Japan. We got the 2 top guys from Japan, and then he fake sneezes and goes, Hakushi. Because
yet another WWE.
Another WWE. Bill Alfonso gets back on the mic and goes, bless you. Because Rob Van Dam just sneezed. He said, they're going to be losers. That's what we're going to call you. From now on, you are losers. Japanese losers. We're the superstars, baby. Don't know anything Bill Alfonso adds.
No, nothing.
Rob Van Dam goes, and
it makes Van Dam look cooler.
Yeah,
he had like crazy, like messed up maniac,
and he's keeping his cool. He's literally keeping his cool.
Like it accentuates that. So
I like that. Yeah. I like that. It also shows the juxtaposition of what one drug does to you versus another one, which should have been its own Dare program on ECW. RBD says, and that makes me, of course, the winner. And after tonight, Rob Van Dam's record is going to be 6-0. And Sabu gets in she grabs his shirt, and he looks annoyed. And he goes, hey, come on, Sabu, relax. We all know who really won that last match. And that plays into their match, right? So Bill Alfonso, hey, it was right down the middle, Daddy. And I guess that's his shtick. I forget. Rob Van Dam says, it doesn't make you bad losing to Rob Van Dam. It just makes you like everybody else. Don't worry about it. And tonight, and then he sneezes again, Hakushi, and Bill Alfonso goes, bless you. And Rob Van Dam says, and what's that other guy? And Bill Alfonso says, I don't know, but they're Japanese losers. That's their names, losers. And Van Dam finishes, says, they're going to find out what I'm trying to teach you, Sabu, and what everybody else has already learned. Rob Van Dam is the whole fucking show.
Swearing's cool.
I'm glad I got to hear this, but like, it added nothing.
It did. Well, I wouldn't say it added nothing because the thing that we both kind of came away with was like, oh, this RVD character I like a lot.
Yeah.
What he's doing here. Yeah. And I was amused by Bill Alfonso's.
I'm walking it back immediately. It did
behavior.
Not add nothing.
And Sabu looked good too. Like he looked scary, and that's what Sabu was going for.
You in 3 sentences made me eat my words, and I agree with everything you just said. And also too, and this came out of my own mouth, and we agreed. Like this. They had something in this promo play into the finish of their match. All right, cool.
I understand your reticence immediately to be like anything involving this Bill Alfonso character being a good thing, but it did work because of all the things that we talked about.
It's like when you watch like a nature documentary and like when the one animal actually catches the other animal, you're like, I don't like this, but like I'm gonna watch it.
It's still grabbing my attention.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, the next match is a perfect example of something like that.
Lord.
Again, full disclosure, probably my favorite like feud series of matches. I don't even know what you'd call it because it was over multiple promotions. Is these two guys.
Yeah.
If I ever saw anybody wrestle a match like this again, I would swear off of them and not want to watch that show ever again anymore. But like, because it's already happened and I know like, well, worked out okay for one guy, the other guy, not so much, but it's already happened.
But it's not the result of this, like that is down the line.
Yeah. Well, but we don't know about that because Mike Awesome, a few years later, after retiring, after he was upset because he thought the WWE shortchanged him on his other rematch from this incredible match at ECW One Night Stand when they put that on. He retired and then he ended up taking his own life later. And what we know about like CTE now, that like this match may have played a part
very valid.
Because like suicide, a lot of those former athletes that take their own lives, it is found that they have pretty bad CTE.
Right.
And there's no way that this match didn't give Mike Awesome CTE to some degree.
As I was saying at the top, two of the most iconic visuals in wrestling history, one of them is in this match, and it is one that very well could have knocked him completely out cold.
Yeah. Well, there's actually two that they used in advertising going forward. He does. So it's Mike if I didn't say, Mike Awesome and Masato Tanaka. Just every single time these two were ever in the ring together, it was magic. It was the best. They're like the best hardcore match duo I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. Nobody comes close, is for me personally. I think this is my favorite one. The one that WWE put on is close. That might, I mean, they're basically the same match, but they're both so incredibly awesome. But I think this one might be my favorite of all time. Yeah. And that would mean that it's my favorite hardcore match it's ever existed.
Yeah. The visual here is amazing. Mike Awesome is 6'6". Masato Tanaka is 5'11". Yeah. Like, there's a noticeable size difference. Masato Tanaka is beefy as fuck. Mike Awesome, known as the Gladiator in Japan.
Yeah, most of Mike Awesome's career is spent before and after this in Japan. Yeah. Like people can think of him as an ECW wrestler. If you look at his like cage match stats, he only wrestled a handful of times in ECW. It was mostly FMW and other like Japanese promotions. He was like a gaijin, more like Stan Hansen than like a ECW guy. Yeah.
Would be a dream acquisition in present day wrestling.
Yeah.
Just the size and the ability.
No fucking idea how neither WCW nor WWFE found a way to like make this guy a big star.
No, they
couldn't talk, but who gives a shit? Like,
they had Kurgan. They didn't need him. Right away, Mike Awesome, beginning of the match, he steps up on the middle rope and to the top rope and does a jumping back elbow.
Yeah, and the reason it kicks off so hard is because, as Shane Douglas points out in commentary, these two have a ton of history.
They about a year.
Tanaka's like first match ever as a young lion. Mike Awesome like murdered him, and he squashed him a few times at this point. And Tanaka's been getting like stronger and bigger and better and more seasoned, but they have like this hatred that goes back several matches like overseas.
Yeah.
So that's why Mike Awesome would like start out with a bang like this.
Yeah, they started feuding, it said, in '94, but they didn't have their first match until recently. Till I'm not recently. It's '98. Till August of '95. So this has been, we're on our fourth year now, third year of having matches. So yeah, good call highlighting that because I didn't do that math in my head. But it's all a series of fucking spots. Mike Awesome does. Right away, an overhead belly to belly. Looks brutal. He does the Undertaker dive to the outside. He does a top rope.
He does the Undertaker dive better than the Undertaker's ever done.
And it didn't look
at any point in his career.
It looked super safe when he did it too.
Yeah.
He does the top rope clothesline that Hawk does from Legion of Doom or Road Warriors or whatever.
That later Kane would go on to do badly for his whole career.
Yeah. Never once did it look like he ever got him. It looked like he whiffed it every time. At one point, Masato Tanaka does a release German suplex. Mike Awesome does a release German suplex to Masato Tanaka, and then Masato Tanaka no-sells it and just power slams Mike Awesome. Then he throws Mike Awesome onto the ramp. Masato Tanaka gets a chair. Mike Awesome's now like trying to come to on the ropes, and we didn't mention this. The ramp to the ring is ring height.
Yeah, it's a flush ramp.
Yeah, so it's not like they're not on the concrete floor like we mentioned. It's like a WCW style ring. Where
ECW did that quite a bit for their pay-per-views too.
Yeah, and they use the space.
Yeah.
But Masato Tanaka runs all the way up the ramp, which we learned is 75 feet long, and then he runs all the way back to deliver a jumping chair shot with zero protection to Mike Awesome.
Yeah, a theme in this match is lots of chair shots, no protection. Oh, nobody even pretends like they're going to put their hands up at any point.
Fucking brutal. Outside the ring, both guys have chairs. They're having a chair fight, and then Masato.
That's something I would like to see more.
Chair fights.
And that's something that, I'm not going to be upset by because nobody's getting CTE from that, but it looks cool. And it makes a big loud noise. But I think I've seen Edge and Christian do it a couple times, but that's it really. Yeah. Like it's these guys I've seen do it a few times, and then I think those guys. I'd like that spot. I'd like to see it more.
And if you're going to do it like these guys do, where they're looking like they're trying to
kill each other with chairs.
Trying to get the other guy's family to collect an insurance policy. Masato Tanaka is backdropped into the first row of fans, so more interaction with the fans. And at this point, as I mentioned earlier, they start noticeably pushing the guardrails.
So this is the first one of the two different spots that I remember very vividly them using in commercials for ECW.
Yep.
When Awesome pulls the guardrail and then goes into the ring.
Yep. He does a springboard dive.
Goddamn springboard. Multiple springboards in this match, by the way. He's 6'6", 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Springboard where when he does the springboard, he jumps up onto the rope, stays there for a second, as if to say, I could do this all day, and then jumps off over the guardrail into the crowd.
And it looked great, and he looked like it took forever for him to get there, effortless. Joey Styles at this point says, there's a lot of athletes about 6'7", 6'8", 300 pounds in this sport who never leave their feet when they're wrestling. I'm not going to name names.
He's talking about Hulk Hogan? His stats exactly.
He's off by 3 pounds. Mike Awesome yells. He gets everybody back in the ring. And he yells, Awesome Bomb. And he gives him an awesome bomb. Which
he's
is
such a scary dude when he's yelling stuff too.
Which is just another tiger bomb.
But it's an
awesome bomb.
Well, actually, it's weird. I think he calls everything every power bomb an awesome bomb because in other Masato Tanaka matches the one that he won, the prior match that he won in Japan with an awesome bomb was a jackknife power bomb. So I think he just calls every power bomb an awesome bomb. Which
I like that gimmick though. It's like the Steiner line.
Yeah, exactly.
And so after Masato Tanaka kicks out of the awesome bomb, Shane Douglas pipes in, says Awesome was negligent there. He had him in a pinning combination. Had he hooked the thighs and rolled his massive body forward, there's no way Tanaka could have kicked out.
Yeah.
He's fucking right.
He plays Shane Douglas later too when Awesome finally seems to have hurt Tanaka for the first time. He's like, "Go for the pin, you idiot!" It's the first time you've got him on the ropes.
Yeah. Mike Awesome gives Masato Tanaka an Alabama Slam and then an Awesome Splash. So there you go. You're right. Yeah. Everything is called Awesome. Mike Awesome gets a chair. He hits Masato Tanaka square in the head, unprotected.
Every chair shot Masato Tanaka takes, which there are multiple, not only unprotected, every single one of them bends the fucking chair. Yeah. Every one bends. And again, this guy wrestled a match 3 weeks ago in 2024. Yeah. It's unbelievably still alive, let alone still wrestling. I did forget Joey Styles had a good one. When Mike Awesome does the yells, Awesome Mom, it was kind of unintelligible. So Joey Styles is like, did he just say hello to his mother, Mrs. Awesome?
So he does the, gets hit square in the head with the chair, and then Masato Tanaka no-sells. He does the fighting spirit, screams. Mike Awesome gives him another one. Tanaka goes down. And then Tanaka gets away for a second, but Mike Awesome hits him with a third time for a near fall. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And to me, this is the best instance of fighting spirit ever because for the simple fact that I'm seeing him get hit in the head with a steel chair and he's still standing. It's not no selling. That should concuss anybody.
Also, too, who knows what's happening to his brain where he might be like, not knowing how badly he's fucked up. He does Mike Awesome, again, Masato Tanaka just eats a fucking plate of shit. This man. He just gets beat to shit.
And Mike Awesome, too. He's not, it's not a super one-sided match or anything. He takes his share of very dangerous, very hard-hitting, scary stuff himself.
Right. And then he does a running release awesome bomb. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
He goes to say, Mike Awesome goes to set up a table outside because he's going to powerbomb Masato Tanaka through it.
Which is how he won their previous match.
Yeah, so he's repeating the spot. Shane Douglas says, he's making a mistake. Tanaka's down in the ring. Why not try to pin him, as you just mentioned? Mike Awesome has Masato Tanaka on the top rope. He does another unprotected chair shot. And then Shane Douglas is screaming at this point for Mike Awesome to pin Masato Tanaka.
I think Tanaka in real life might think that shrugging his shoulders helps him in some way. Because every time he gets hit, he just shrugs his shoulders. And I'm like, that's not doing anything for you, buddy. I see the chair bending. It's on your head.
Maybe he plays bingo and he's won once because he's got a rabbit foot. He's like, I got all these dumb little superstitions that'll help me.
I think he cracks walnuts with his forehead.
He fights Drederick Tatum. Mike Awesome almost Awesome bombs Masato Tanaka twice.
Yeah.
And then Masato Tanaka escapes. And then Awesome bombs Mike Awesome through the tape. So he's in the ring and he throws him outside the ring.
And again here, Masato Tanaka, who is listed 5'10", probably shoot 5'8", 5'9". Mike Awesome listed 6'6". I think he shoots 6'5", but he's close to 6'6" in real life. Tanaka holds him up, power bombs him like this guy that's twice his size out of the ring through the table. But because the size difference and leverage is so wildly different for like a smaller guy and a bigger guy, Mike Awesome just falls head first.
Yeah.
His head goes through the table. Like his head goes through the table and his head hits the goddamn floor. I don't know how he wasn't paralyzed.
You did not say his arms go behind his head to protect his head.
Yeah.
His goddamn head is what makes contact
his head's
with the ground.
thing that hits first, both the table and the floor. Like
this is one of the two most iconic spots in ECW history.
Yeah, that's the other one that they show nonstop.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's one more to come from this show itself, but like this one you saw ad nauseum. Crowd goes holy shit, which they were really reserved with the holy shit chance, which is kind of refreshing.
Yeah, I liked it. I like
credit. They gave it when it was deserved.
The ECW crowd, I think, is like the biggest innovator. As far as crowds go of like cool chants.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened on the indies and stuff, but like ECW was the closest thing to the indies on TV.
Right.
And they were like, it was the holy shits were when they were very appropriate here. We had one We Want Tables, which I was surprised that early that there were still a We Want Tables.
Yeah.
Because I hate that chant. But like, but you had to really do some shit to get a holy shit chant from the ECW
you had
faithful.
To work for it, yeah.
Like nearly kill yourself.
And this was already, I mean, these crowds were hot as shit.
Oh yeah,
they weren't just chant heavy. They were just reacting accordingly. And if it was a holy shit moment, you got a holy shit moment. Not just like if two guys had 4 consecutive chain wrestling sequences and one of them was named The Miz, they got a holy shit chant.
It had to be Mike Awesome almost dying.
Yeah. And at this point, Mike Awesome, actually, from this point forward, Mike Awesome sells like he's fucking out. He's out cold.
Which he might have been out on his feet.
There's a roaring elbow for a surprise 2 count, and then Tanaka sets up 2 chairs, laying them flat on the ground, does a tornado DDT.
Badass looking tornado DDT too.
Look good, and that's what got the W for Mr. Masato Tanaka.
Big upset. It's the first time Tanaka beats Awesome in their series. Yeah.
Okay.
And they go on to have multiple more matches over different promotions. I think one more in ECW, and then they did one under the ECW banner in WWE, which is the only other match that like competes with this one, I think, for the best ever.
Right.
But they did have 8 or 9 matches. It's kind of funny if you go to Cage Match and like just pull up Mike Awesome or Masato Tanaka and like list matches by ranking, crowd or Meltzer.
Yeah.
The top 8 are all Mike Awesome or Gladiator versus Masato Tanaka. Like it's these two just had such chemistry doing this and trusted each other so much to do these bananas matches that like all of their best work was always against each other.
I mean, you find something that works.
Yeah.
And like I don't recall ever getting bored of watching these two fight.
No.
This could have been a weekly thing.
My favorite. I mean, I've gone back to I haven't gone back and watched this entire pay-per-view outside of this for this show in like 10 years, but I've watched this match a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like I've gone back and I've downloaded this thing and watched it 100 times or something.
This was my first time in at least 20 years since I saw the full match.
Yeah.
It was so fucking fun.
It's unbelievable.
So fun. Didn't have to go back 20 years to see Taz, who is on AEW programming on a weekly basis. You forget what Taz was.
Yeah.
And we got a backstage segment with Taz, who is the FTW champion. Taz says, tonight's the night, Bam Bam, tonight's the night. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, brother. In a short while, you're going to tap to the FTW World Heavyweight Champion, the only champion on pay-per-view that means anything in this business. Not Austin, not Goldberg, and especially not that punk Mike Tyson. 3 letters, one man named Taz. And Bam Bam, you hold a victory over me. On pay-per-view, you pin me in the middle. No excuses. And I'm taking back that victory tonight, live on pay-per-view. Heatwave. We're here, and you're going to go down, big boy, and I know you're going to kick my ass in the process, and that's the part I liked the best. I didn't get that at all. Why would you like getting your ass kicked? Why would that be fun?
It's like Moxley. It's doing that thing. It fires me up. Blood doesn't start flowing until you kick my ass a little.
And now you're going to ask yourself, brother, can I beat him again? Well, I'm going to answer it for you. You can't. You won't. because I am Taz, the FTW World Heavyweight Champion. Beat me if you can, Bigelow.
I fucking love Taz.
There was not a single mention of the word Jones in this entire pay-per-view.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a different job to be the scary, final boss of ECW and doing color later when you're like.
If he called him Bam Bam Jones, I would have or Bigelow Jones or something.
I love this paper. I love this promo.
This version of Taz is, again, how the fuck did they mess this up? Like, he's so scary.
He's super scary. He's like somebody mentioned last week in a reference to William Regal when he cut that, or Steven Regal when he cut that promo.
Yeah.
He's doing a Jake Roberts here, and it's hard to do that, and he does it perfectly. Like, it's scary. He's reserved, kind of quiet, and it's scary as hell the whole time he's talking. Like,
and he's talking shit about Stone Cold Steve Austin,
everybody.
Bill Goldberg, and Mike Tyson.
The whole world, and it's believable.
Fucking great. They're going to give a history of what the FTW Championship is in a couple segments from now, but that's a brand new title, and it's not the one we're used to seeing. It looks like just like one you buy like at a championship title store. Like, we can order one of these right now. It's like, oh, I'll take the generic title, please.
It's the one that they could afford in ECW in 1998.
That's fair. They go back to commentary. Shane Douglas is fucking furious because we find out later
that hates Taz.
Well, because we find out that Taz is the reason he's in a cast.
Yeah.
And we don't
he says it's Bam Bam, but he's clearly lying because he's as pissed off at Taz as he is.
Right.
So,
So Shane goes, we had to sit and endure that. The FTW World Heavyweight Champion. And then he holds up his ECW title and he said, this is the real World Heavyweight Champion, Taz. Take a look at it and weep. You got a bigger problem in front of you tonight, and his name is Bam Bam Bigelow. Kind of a miss for Shane.
Yeah. It's tough coming off of that Taz promo, too.
Joey Styles says, notwithstanding it is...
I think Shane's a better color commentator than he is like a promo, too. Like, I think that's what he does best, is his color job. Like, I think he misses calling, kind of. He should have just done that.
A little bit, But no one would be able to see the tassels on his boots if he was on color commentary.
He did a good job losing to Taz, though, later. I like that moment in ECW history.
Yeah. Joey Styles says, notwithstanding, it is now my extreme displeasure. And then he said, I don't want to hear from these guys. I don't. You know what? The Dudleys are backstage. They've got something to say. I don't want to hear it. You fans at home watch it. Personally, I can't stand them.
As much as Bubba Ray, I always say this, irritates me in real life, his actual podcasty personality.
Yeah.
Motherfucker could cut a promo.
Especially these guys had Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes.
Yeah.
Like, they were just like...
Yeah, he still had his kind of country. He eventually drops the Dudleyville country accent altogether in ECW. Still kind of has it going here, and it's like frightening.
Yeah.
I also like fatter Bubba Ray, like this fatter version.
He's more intimidating.
Yeah.
Way more intimidating.
Yeah. He still does all the same moves, but he's like 400 pounds.
Yeah. So backstage, we see the Dudleys. We have Bubba Ray, Devon, Big Dick Sign Guy, and Joel Gertner. I forgot about half of these guys.
Joel Gertner, surprisingly, because to me, he seems like he has some pedophilic skeletons in his closets. Just his general vibe.
Yeah.
But I saw him recently at an interview, like somebody's podcast or radio show or something. And he seems a decently down to earth dude that understood why ECW was good when it was and had like pretty grounded thoughts about things. It surprised me because he seems like such a scumbag.
Well, I'm certainly glad he did not have the tendencies that you just alluded to.
Tell me he doesn't have that, with his no shirt, blazer. Maybe not pedophilic, but sexual deviant at least.
He looks like he carries around way too much. He seems like he's the most popular guy in his town. And he lives in a town of 30 people.
Yeah.
But he acts like he lives in a town of New York City.
He seems to me like he is very popular with 14-year-old girls.
Oh, Jesus.
That he tricks into thinking that he's going to give them a career in modeling or something. That's the vibe that he carries.
You're saying he works at a mall.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Joel Gertner's doing most of the lifting in this, and then Bubba Ray comes in. Joel Gertner says, well. Tonight at Heatwave 98, everybody seems to think this is the end for the Dudley Boys. However, if that's what they feel, then nobody seems to be thinking, because the way I see it, the odds are stacked in the favor of the Dudley Boys. After all, New Jack, I guess he's got a prior engagement. I don't think he'll be here. And Beulah, I don't think she's going to be walking around anywhere near the Dudley Boys. The way I see it, once the Dudleyville street fight begins, There's nobody left to save the Sandman, Spike Dudley, and poor pathetic Tommy Dreamer.
They shit on Beulah a ton between this and the
there are like
in ring.
Just I'm telling you now, there's some shit he says when he does his ring announcement later. I'm not fucking saying. I started typing. I'm like, I'm not fucking saying that.
You know, you don't have to.
It's he says some vile shit,
which is why I get the vibe that I just said I got
like
from him.
to make me uncomfortable saying one of the promos is like
yeah,
you know, but like again. Credit where credit's due.
It's the character.
Heel heat.
Yeah.
Good Lord, are these guys good heels?
Yeah.
Not like I want to see them lose. It's just like I'm uncomfortable. You're around heel heat,
like
which
scary.
It's very
monstrous.
Rare. So I said the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Exactly. It was a great comp.
Very Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
Like
Dudley.
What other horror movies do we know?
Yeah.
Bubba Ray Dudley then gets on the mic and he's just yelling the whole time. I'm not going to yell, but Tommy Dreamer.
It's not just screaming like Alfonso, though. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
It's like intense. It's a good intensity. It's like a down the pipe of the camera, real, believable intensity.
Yeah. Yeah, very important distinction.
Yeah.
Because otherwise people are going to be thinking he's toothless Bill Alfonso. Tommy Dreamer, the savior of the wrestling industry, crucified for the sins of Beulah McGillicuddy.
That's a great line.
Dreamer, you can give your soul to Jesus, but your ass belongs to the Dudleys. You can give your heart to Jesus, but your ass belongs to the core. It was Full Metal Jacket line. Yeah, I loved it. I couldn't place it for a second. It was really bothering me. And then he says, that ring is our church. These are our colors. 3D is our cross. And tonight, Tommy Dreamer, it's your cross to bear. Testify. Yeah, there's something else, man.
So it also, watching this back, it readjusted something about what I currently think about Bubba Ray. Because, like, I always get irritated by him when he's on his podcast or whatever, and he's talking about how to get real, true heel heat. Because what he's talking about is what he does here.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I had so many years of him in the Fed, I'm always thinking, shut up. You didn't do any of this shit you're talking about doing.
What?
And yeah, you did big music, bombastic stuff, but you did. He did understand it better than anybody here. When he started, because that's exactly the stuff he's talking about these days, what heels should do, he does to a T perfectly.
Right.
Like top to bottom, down to the no entrance music. It's great stuff.
Also, this is 1998. And people in the crowd look like they want to fucking fight him.
They hate him. That is shit from like the Von Erich.
Yeah,
it's like back when you hear stories about heels getting stabbed by that's the kind of heat they pull like back then.
Mm-hmm. We didn't have that quite yet. We had another. I'm really glad I got to watch this because I didn't know this existed because it was out of my mind because I haven't seen this pay-per-view in 20 years. For the ECW World Tag Team Championships, we had the incumbents. RVD and Sabu with Bill Alfonso, which in case you weren't able to visually see, you could hear him blow that goddamn whistle the entire match.
And one of my notes was if I had paid for tickets to this and I was in the front row, I would get kicked out because I'd grab that fucking whistle around out of his mouth
obnoxious.
And throw it.
And they were fighting the team of Hayabusa and Jinsei Shinzaki.
Who you may otherwise know
as Hakushi.
I think that was just like his only run, though, right? Was the Bret Hart? That's the only thing I remember him doing.
In
was
WWE?
The Bret Hart run.
He had a thing with Barry Horowitz as well.
Oh, okay. So just Bret Hart. Barry's still going strong too. I think he still wrestles.
Yeah. As they called him on commentary, Barry Horriblewitz.
Is Shinzaki? Is that gimmick? The tattoo thing? Is that tattoos or is that fake?
It's got to be fake.
Because he has it every time I've ever seen him.
It might be like henna.
So that's what I thought it was. Yeah. But I've never seen him without it. So I'm like, maybe it's what he really did.
Hakushi.
I'm just realizing now too that Hayabusa, I know at this point Hayabusa is in the twilight of his career, kind of like in this match. He's up there with okay, so they found a photoshopped picture of Hakushi with no tattoos on.
It's very plausible.
Hayabusa is in the pantheon with the two wrestlers I love mentioning on this podcast, Manami Toyota and who's better than Canyon as far as move innovation. Hayabusa, like I mentioned earlier, is innovator of the 450 and many, many other like top rope moves. Yeah. At this point in his career, he's like Twilight days. And this was his first time and only time ever wrestling in America. It was on this show, on this ECW show.
Yes.
Now I'm wondering if, because the timelines would match up, since it was the twilight of his career in the late 90s, I wonder if Fighter Hayabusa from Pro Wrestling on NES
thought the same thing.
Is named after this dude. Because
they did say, because they had very little to say when they were walking out, so they gave us some stats. They said Hayabusa is 29 years old and he's just 7 years of pro wrestling.
Oh, okay. So maybe twilight of his career was just because he didn't wrestle for very long after this. So maybe
his neck injury was October 22nd, 2001.
Oh, okay.
That's when he was done. So 2 years later.
So 3 years later. So he wasn't that old, but it was the twilight of his career.
Yeah, I mean he was 32 when he was done. That's sad, man. That's a tough injury. Like if you like hiding behind your hands and making yourself voluntarily uncomfortable watching things, find a video of Hayabusa not quite rotating all the way on the lion salt.
Doing the real version of what Pac does when he's selling like DDTs or whatever.
It was scary. It's
nasty,
fucking scary. And then Shinzaki, a.k.a. Hakushi, is 32 years old, and he is 5 years a pro wrestler. 5 years. 5 years.
That's not, I'm
going to say it again.
That's not
5 years. He had a amazing feud with Bret Hart maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
4 years a wrestler.
I don't understand why he didn't stick with the company either. Like, I mean, I guess it wasn't over.
He lost a Losers Leaves Town match with Barry Horowitz. Probably.
He's big enough, too, to be like...
He was so... That feud was fucking awesome. Him and Bret Hart. I loved it. Even as a kid, I'm like, more of this guy.
Yeah, yes.
With my SpaghettiOs and hot dogs in them. I got a math test tomorrow, but I don't care.
But I still recognize good wrestling when I see it.
These two are former, these two being Hayabusa and Hakushi. I'm going to just refer to him as Hakushi, as I mentioned. Yeah. They are the former FMW Brass Knuckles Tag Team Champions. And Shane Douglas says... the challengers are likely jet lagged. They flew in from Japan today. They might affect their efficacy in the match. I'm like, I mean, good job, man. Like,
sure.
Good try to.
They were probably on the same flight as Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome.
Well, both of those guys.
They're all FMW performers.
Yeah. Those two somehow got the Benz in the sky, right? And had the match they did. And then Joey
would survive a plane crash. Tanaka would just come out.
As it's going down, one of them's going to awesome bomb him out of the emergency door. Joey Styles says, this is a match that hardcore fans have been looking forward to, and he emphasizes hardcore. Yeah. So, they were really hip to dirt sheets back then.
Yeah.
And then the match ended up escalating from a proper, slow, wrestling match to fucking chaos.
I don't know if I would, like, the beginning I wouldn't call slow. It's always a fairly fast moving.
When I say slow, just like not
traditional, like a traditional match.
Traditional,
too
more
insane.
like more arm drags and hip tosses.
Yeah. Like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Which is fast but conventional.
Perfect analogy. Before the match even starts, Sabu and RVD are arguing about who's going to start, and then RVD eventually starts, and so does Hayabusa. I wrote RVD as an arrogant little shit, but he backs everything up. So it's a little like you could tell like they're not used to working with each other right away.
That's their whole thing, kind of the whole run to me. It was always like good and sloppy in the right way.
Yeah,
they don't like each other.
Yeah,
but they're so great that like they just keep winning despite their lack of cohesiveness,
and they're fine with it. And they never like make steps to be better friends.
Yeah,
they're just consistently like low simmer.
It's like the only time I've ever liked this story, the tag team that doesn't like each other's story. Like, I love these guys, and most of the time I'm like, this gimmick, I hate it.
Yeah.
And it worked. These guys are just so good at it.
Yeah.
Like,
Hayabusa did a cool thing where there's a lot of cool things, but the first cool thing was he does an Irish whip on RBD, and he pulls him, like, back. And as RBD's running past him, he gives him an ensiguri, which I never saw that.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, cool.
The Hayabusa, he does have a one or two botches here, and it reminded me of a thing that I do think wrestling fans of today are much better about. I did not at the time, and I still don't like when people do the "you fucked up" for a botch.
Yeah.
But in modern wrestling, like even smart mark fan wrestling crowds, they have changed when they do the you fucked up to a more like a better in-story thing.
Yeah.
Now they do you fucked up when like you piss Hook off or something and like he's gonna kill you. The Joe's gonna kill you moment. That's the you fucked up.
Yeah.
And it just is better. It's more fun to do it in story. I don't need the crowd pointing out when a guy like makes a mistake in a job that's like there's inherently going to be some mistakes because nobody's a superhuman. Like it's gonna happen, especially in these like crazy high spot shows.
Yeah,
that bothered me even back then, and I didn't like it when they did it here.
It seemed out of place. Also, this like it's a pretty rabid fan base.
Yeah,
so they're not going to be kind about anything.
Yeah, but I think they're like I'm saying like modern rabid maniac fans.
I agree with what you're saying.
Are better fans. I think they're better fans than these ECW fans.
Yeah, 100%. That Hakushi praying rope walk looks fucking dope. He does the Undertaker thing.
Yeah.
Kind of squats a little and walks around 2 top ropes and then does the Undertaker, what is it called, old school?
Yeah. Probably stole it from him. I don't think he did it before that.
Probably. Whatever.
We should rename this podcast We Hate the Undertaker.
I actually have a note about the Undertaker later in this. Hakushi does an Acai moonsault onto RVD and Sabu.
They should really call that the Ultimo Salt because nobody knows that it's Ultimo Dragon.
I did not until you just said it now.
His real name is Acai. It's like
no shit.
Hakushi? No, not Hakushi.
No, he's in this match.
Yeah. It's I forget his first name. His last name is Acai. That's why it's the Acai Moonsault because it was invented by the Ultimo Dragon. But everybody knows him as Ultimo Dragon, so just call it the Ultimo Salt.
I just know that you hold pray hands.
It's the pray hands, and that's the middle rope to the
pray hands.
And that's the same thing with the Hangman Page's one, that Arihara moonsault. Yeah. I forget who it is, but it's another guy that we know by a different name. Yeah. And it's called the Arihara moonsault because this is his real name, or whatever.
I've had acai bowls, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah. It's like a fruit too. Like
it's a fruit and a moonsault.
Yeah,
that's right. It's weird. It's weird with English. The English language is just great. I wrote so far early stages of the match. Hakushi is the best guy in the match.
Yeah,
he's just kind of the one constant that everybody can play off of so well.
He's a real good traditional wrestler.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I fucking loved watching him.
I don't know why he got booted.
Sabu does the springboard chair spot onto both opponents, which looked fucking great. They did a spot where RVD surfboards Hakushi, and then Sabu jumps off the top rope and throws a chair at his chest. Oh my god.
Sabu is like the only wrestler of all time that is simultaneously awesome and a terrible wrestler. Like I don't know what to call him because he's like messes stuff up all the time, but then magically his screw up ends up looking awesome. Like it's just he botches stuff constantly, and then it like he Nordbergs his way into it looking amazing. Like it's all the time. I love him, and he's terrible. Like he's the weirdest wrestler of all time. RVD does that. Does a 5-star
off camera
that I can't like. The physics don't match up to real life.
He somehow rotates.
I don't understand. Like he comes flying in from off camera, and then turns his body in the midair like to a totally different direction. When he first did it, I thought it was from the other different turnbuckle, and then I watched it back. I was like, "Oh, it's from this? How is this possible?" It's insane.
Looked twice as good because the camera didn't show him at all setting up for it.
Yeah, he just came falling down.
He
from
looked like a filing cabinet that just got thrown out of a building. Cool spot with the Hayabusa and Hakushi. They do a springboard swanton, and then a springboard knee.
Yeah, it's swanton.
And then a springboard moonsault onto Rob Van Dam. Mm-hmm. Holy shit. And then
my only gripe about it, not a gripe about this match, was I'm like, yeah, these are all incredible moves, that series, but my how much I respect these guys doing any kind of springboard after I just saw Mike Awesome do like the best springboards I've ever seen at 6'6", 300 pounds is lowered slightly.
Dampens it down a notch.
These were still awesome, but
and they weren't flying into the third row of the crowd. They were gingerly just, proper rotation. Rob Van Dam and Sabu had a poetry in motion on Hayabusa, and I wrote nice little Hardy Boy sequence. Who they did not debut in the WWF as the Hardy Boys until September of 1998. So this move predates Hardy Boys in WWF.
Well, like you said, Hayabusa is credited with like a bunch of moves, like creating almost as many as who's better than Jane.
who I believe was still Mortis.
Mortis.
Yeah, at the time. Hayabushi. What are their names? Am I saying it right?
Hakushi is the
Hayabusa.
It's Jinsei Shinzaki. Is
Hakushi and Hayabusa. They do 2 head kicks and then German to Sabu. Another brutal sequence. Joey Styles says, this is the most trouble we've seen these World Tag Team Champions in ever. And I don't know if I should believe him, because I am looking forward to going back and watching more of these matches, because I believe these 2 had... I remember watching absolute fucking classic tag matches with these 2.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think they had Candido and Lance faced them.
It was in a different arena.
Mention, by the way, that Lance Storm, another move I love of his that nobody else does it like this. The super kick that he does, where he kind of jumps into it. He's the only guy I've ever seen do it that way, and it looks awesome.
Yeah,
but it's
he
just
shuffles.
Reminded me, it's like a shuffle
his
kick.
Mechanics are correct.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sabu does a springboard Hurricane Rana to Hakushi, and then, as you mentioned, RVD comes out of fucking nowhere with a splash
from the
afterwards.
ceiling.
It makes no sense. Hakushi does something I thought AJ Styles invented. He Pele kicks a Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
Never saw that.
No,
prior to AJ Styles. I thought AJ legitimately invented that. Hakushi and Hayabusa.
I'm telling you, there's like 4 wrestlers that
made
invented everything. It's Minami Toyota, Chris Kanyon, Misawa, and Hayabusa. Apparently, I wasn't even really aware of Hayabusa until researching for this.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's like 4 or 5 guys that do like one lady that do like every move.
Yeah. Well, there's like 3 Swedish guys that write all our songs too, isn't there? So why not? It tracks. Hakushi, Hayabusa do they powerbomb Rob Van Dam. Hayabusa does the Stardust Press, which is his 450, his invention of the 450.
Yeah.
Sabu makes a save. They do Rolling Thunder, which
tore Chris Candido's ear off.
Exactly. Rob Van Dam. Sabu puts the Boston Crab on Hakushi, and Rob Van Dam drops a leg from the top rope onto the back of Hakushi's head.
Ass onto.
Oh my God!
He just landed his ass directly on his head.
Leg is not correct. He looks like he should have paralyzed him.
Like his head, should have exploded, like in an '80s splatter movie or something.
Or like in The Boys. Sabu gets a table. He sets it up in the ring. Hakushi starts doing dragon screw leg whips, which look fucking cool.
Look awesome. I love dragon screw. Is one of my favorite moves.
It looks so good, but I would have to. Can you imagine Nia Jax taking one of those?
Actually, it would end her career. So I'd be like.
I can't wait for our regularly scheduled program to talk about what she did this week. Shane Douglas, after the leg screw, Shane Douglas says, what that'll do is blow the medial collateral ligament in the knee. And then I had to Google that. I'm like, that's fucking...
It's what they used to say when Ricky the Dragon would do it, too, like back in the day. And they say it when Switchblade Jay White does it, too, because it is like what you're going for.
I'm just not picking up on the announcing, apparently. Hayabusa falls from the top rope and he racks himself. And then he stays like crotched on the rope. Bill Alfonso comes up and he holds a chair in front of Hayabusa's face, and Rob Van Dam from a top turnbuckle does a Van Daminator. Yeah. Looked fucking badass, man. This is when Van Dam actually got to do the Van Daminator, and it looked cool
for real.
As fuck.
Yeah.
He got to WWE, and you're like, why won't they let him do the Van Daminator?
Because it's very dangerous.
Yeah, it looked like a state execution every time he did it in this company.
Such a loud noise too. Every one of them.
Fucking great. They tried to set up a table, but one of the legs are broken. And RVD's laying on the table, but Hayabusa just does the splash anyway on the table. So it's, I don't know, just a harder landing. Sabu gets another table. Hayabusa does a Michinoku driver on Rob Van Dam. Sabu breaks it up with a leg drop with his chair under his leg.
That's one of the other guys too, by the way. Taka. He's one of the other handful of people that's credited with a bunch of moves.
I'm good with
including the Michinoku driver.
Michinoku drivers.
It's one of my all-time favorite moves.
All-time favorite. That was the finishing move I gave myself in No Mercy.
Video games? Yeah. It was Snowplow, Michinoku driver, my two finishers.
And if it was from the back angle slam. I just needed something quick.
Yeah.
I didn't want his pedigree took the longest.
Yeah, no.
Fucking stupid. Sabu throws a chair at Hakushi. He catches it. Another fucking Van Daminator. Yeah. The finish saw Sabu putting Hayabusa on the table. Rob Van Dam puts Hakushi on the table. They run to opposite corners. Stereo leg drops through the tables.
It looked awesome.
It always looked good. And Rob Van Dam goes to cover Hakushi, and Sabu shoves him out of the way, and he makes the cover for the win, which calls back what they were saying in the promo.
Yeah, I was fine with Sabu getting the win here because although you didn't get to enjoy this, unfortunately, then I got to hear Sabu's awesome ECW theme music too.
Yes, I did.
They played it? Oh,
yeah,
cool.
There were some songs where I'm like, I know that one.
Because it was walked when they came out, and then I got to hear, much like in the main event too, they came out to a different song than was played.
Yeah.
After the victory because of who got the pin.
Right.
I dug that. My only criticism really with this match, I think I would have ended it when Van Dam hit that 5-star. I think that's where the match peaked. Like layout. If I were laying the match out, that's where I would have ended. It would have been like 3 or 4 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
But the stuff they did after that was still amazing. I just thought the crowd was at that point there that it would have been the best time to do it.
Also, some of the stuff like the dragon screw leg whip or whatever, like psychology's out the window at that point.
Yeah.
You're just trying to make things look cool.
Yes.
And it's like, you're doing enough, man.
Yeah.
You don't have to start working the leg.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
okay.
They'd already gotten to the point where okay, that would have believably ended it, and the crowd was there for them. So he hits that move, and the crowd's like, "Fuck yes!"
Yeah.
And then when that didn't end it, they were just a little bit like, "Oh, okay." And they still were up for the rest of the match, but it wasn't the same as if that was the time. That was when they hit it. That's when when I talk about guys understanding like Edge and Christian these days, what they do best, that they understand when a match is peaking, and that's when you end it. Yeah. That's when you do the heel thing because that's where you have the crowd at that point, and that's where it would have. For me, it should have ended there.
I agree. And that's why I like finishers, because that lets people know the match is about to end. Tune into Blue Thunder Pod to hear me bitch about finishers.
To hear Dave and I argue about our opposing ideas about what finishers should and shouldn't be.
That's right. Up next, we had a recap of Bam Bam Bigelow and Taz's history, which was super helpful. Really quickly, March 1st, 1998, at the Living Dangerously pay-per-view, Taz has the Taz mission on Bam Bam, and Bam Bam falls back, and both go crashing through the ring. Which is
the way the ref almost falls when the man gets pulled is iconic. It's like,
and this is the other iconic fucking ECW spot where they go just, and Bam Bam leaps and they fall. It's not like a subtle fall. They take this bump pretty.
Why wasn't
nicely.
Bam Bam the biggest star of all time?
He fought Lawrence Taylor at WrestleMania 11. What are you talking about?
He carried Lawrence Taylor's ass to a good match.
Yeah. What did he do at WrestleMania 12? Oh, that's right. I don't fucking know, dude. He's
awesome at everything.
I liked him.
He's 6'5", 380 pounds probably. He flies around like a
his King of the Ring match. His King of the Ring match with Bret Hart was all timer.
Always great.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. No, he didn't have hair.
He was a big man during the Hulk Hogan era.
Yeah, he was fodder.
Yeah.
So they acknowledged Bam Bam got to win in Asbury Park, New Jersey, which is where Living Dangerously was. Taz apparently got the visible tap for the W, but he put him in the Taz mission.
Yeah.
Right before they fall through, Bam Bam's tap.
That's what
I know what I'm talking about.
Drops him through. Yeah.
The ref didn't see it and counted. And Bam.
By the way, how you know you're a true wrestling fan is if you associate Asbury Park, New Jersey, with Bam Bam Bigelow, whereas the rest of the world associates Asbury Park, New Jersey, with Bruce Springsteen.
I mean, his finisher's greetings from Asbury Park.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. Taz acknowledged defeat, and he shook Bam Bam's hand at the next event at the ECW arena. When Bam Bam lost the TV title to Rob Van Dam in Buffalo, New York on April 4th, 1998, Taz saw his chance to regain the title from Bam Bam go down the drain. Taz is a little pissy about it. When Shane Douglas...
More than a little pissy, Joey Styles says Taz is, I can tell you this, shoot, Taz is the most miserable son of a bitch I've ever had the displeasure to come across in my career.
Sounds about right. When Shane Douglas and the Triple Threat interfered in a match between John Cronus and Taz's cousin Chris Chetty, it pushed the native of Red Hook to the brink. Taz injured Shane Douglas's arm, and Bam Bam attacked Taz into the crowd. Yeah. So hence why Shane Douglas has his Terminator arm cast on. At a future show, Taz attacks Shane again, and he declares himself the uncrowned champion to the point where he started to come to the ring with his own title belt. Mm-hmm. This is the introduction of the FTW Championship. Taz changes gears and suckers the Triple Threat into thinking he wants to join the group, and he puts a T-shirt on and he does their pose, and shockingly, he double crosses them and he attacks Shane's injured arm once again. So he's just
but he's kind of the babyface here.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Although, like, what's he mad about? Like, he can still challenge for the title. Like, he just wanted to beat Bam Bam for it, I guess.
What's Taz mad about?
Yeah.
He's Taz. It's his whole thing. That's what Joey Styles. He's the most miserable son of a bitch he's ever.
Because he can't ride that ride.
Yeah,
At the water park.
ECW did a great job. I'm sorry to cut you off about what you're talking about right now. ECW, having no money, really does a great job of like video production stuff.
Yep.
They clearly don't have the equipment. They don't have the money for the equipment.
Right.
But like the actual the cutting it together and stuff, it's all really good.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. That's why I said I wish one of the companies would rip these guys off. Shane Douglas and Chris Candido challenged Rob Van Dam and Sabu for the tag team titles. Rob Van Dam did a holding top rope leg drop onto Shane's arm, which looked gnarly as fuck. Which prompted, I do like that he's like a shark to blood here. Anytime Shane Douglas is in slight peril, Taz just appears. Because once Rob Van Dam does the leg drop to Shane Douglas's arm, Taz comes out of nowhere and he fucking starts beating up his arm again, which brought out Bam Bam Bigelow. Also, and then they cut back to commentary and Shane Douglas is there. Shane Douglas needs to learn that when his arm is hurt, you shouldn't
wave it around like a maniac.
He looks like he could have successfully landed planes with those little light up cones.
Yes.
Like too much mobility, sir. Way too much mobility. But it brings us to the FTW Championship match between Taz and Bam Bam Bigelow.
You missed the good music here. You definitely missed the good music here.
Who was it?
They didn't play. Bam Bam Bigelow came out to Welcome to the Jungle.
Oh, come on. No, he didn't. He came out to...
No. Welcome to the Jungle. And Bam Bam coming out as fired up as he did really fit with the music, too.
God damn it. This is an ECW deathmatch false count anywhere that went 13 minutes, 21 seconds.
It was the deathmatch as opposed to whatever the fuck Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome was.
In a live match. So right away, Taz is charging. Taz charges at Bam Bam Bigelow. Bam Bam Bigelow powerbombs him, and Taz just fucking no-sells it. Taz...
I like the way he no-sells it, too. I mean, it's kind of a classic Taz, but he bops right back up. Like, chest out. Like, fuck you.
They fight under the rampway. Taz does the Brooklyn Boot and kicks Bam Bam off the ramp, which is just what his running kick is called, the Brooklyn Boot.
Pretty impressive, though, from a guy that's 5'8", or whatever, to a guy that's 6'4".
He's lower to the ground.
I think he's the best, maybe the only real, or Rhino, too. Like, when they talk about low center of gravity, when they usually they just mean a short guy.
Yeah.
But, Taz really does have that, he puts that across, that he does have, a low center of gravity.
His quads are enormous.
Yeah. It helps that he can suplex an elephant.
Because he apparently just, eats chicken and does squats all day. His legs are fucking huge. So Bam Bam is off the ramp. He's off the side of the ramp, and he's in the crowd. And Taz dives. He gets caught by Bam Bam in the crowd, and he gets smashed into the side of the ramp from the crowd, which is cool. They're fighting in the crowd for a while.
I appreciated that too, because we've seen so many essentially hardcore matches already on the show. This was the first time that they did a different thing with it, where they're fighting through the crowd most of the time.
Yes, most of the time, which made the next match feel a little diluted. We literally just saw a better version of this moments ago. Bam Bam, they're in a hockey arena. That's what this predominantly is used for. So Bam Bam's throwing Taz into the boards, and then into a huge row of chairs. And the way they set chairs up at this place is they're not individual; they're all tethered together. Yeah. So it's a speedier process. So when he throws them into the chairs, 7 fucking chairs fall down. It's very funny. They walk toward the guardrail by the entrance, and Bam Bam throws Taz into the guardrail, then lifts and throws the guardrails at the back of his head.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Unprotected. He throws guardrails at the back of Taz's head. Yikes.
I don't think there are any medical professionals on hand to advise on the show.
Well, to your point, they couldn't afford 3 cameras. They're not affording a doctor. Where are we at? So then Taz, right after this, backdrops Bam Bam onto the concrete floor. It just looks brutal for the history of time.
Close to 400-pound man.
Yeah. It was a legit-ass backdrop, right?
Yeah.
Taz does a cross arm breaker outside the ring, and I made a note. You never really see submissions in false count anywhere matches.
Yeah, no,
this.
you don't.
It just caught my eye. I'm like, he's actually trying to win the match.
Yeah, I like it. I didn't know that Taz did the cross arm breaker the same way that Mystico / what's his face in WWF.
Oh, Sin
Cara would later do, where he does the jerking on it super hard. It looks really good.
Yeah. They go back to ringside, and then Bam Bam throws Taz, jumps over the guardrail, and then he jumps over, and when he's landing... So he throws Taz over the guardrail. Taz is on the ground. And then Bam Bam jumps over. And I think accidentally he just stomps Taz's face.
Yeah.
And Taz is now busted open the hard way.
Yeah.
And look, that was,
That's what,
just
yeah.
bad
I'm pretty
timing.
sure that's what happened.
Bam Bam brings the table into the ring, and he leans it against the corner. And he Irish whips Taz right through it. And only breaks like half the table, like one of the sides of the table. Because then Bam Bam takes the partially broken table and he puts it in the opposite corner. Only to eat a T-bone Tazplex.
Best looking Tazplex ever.
Yeah. And he didn't go like through it. He landed like just enough on it to be like, oh, God, that looks way worse than if he went through it. And then
it's so impressive throwing a guy like that size too.
Yeah, Bam Bam, big dude who can move and bump his ass off. Like good dance partner here.
That's another one I missed when I was talking about unfortunately people who are no longer with us that were on the show. Bam Bam died.
Yeah.
He died young too.
Yeah. That sucks. So the finish, we're already at the finish because this was a sprint.
Yeah.
But it was like a good fucking sprint.
And it fit too because we had a lot of matches that went pretty long. On the show, so.
And to your point, this like organically crescendoed to this is where it should have been.
Exactly.
So Bam Bam points to Shane Douglas, who's in the commentary booth, and the commentary booth is like in a skybox, like relative to the size of the arena that they're in. So just like above the crowd. Bam Bam picks Taz up like he's gonna body slam him. And then Taz swings his whole body backwards, and he grabs Bam Bam's head and DDTs him through the ramp, through the fucking ramp. Yeah. So this is now a callback to them going to the ring through the ring the last time, and now they're going through the ramp this time. It looks like they fell through a bunch of construction paper.
Yeah.
But they're in there for a while.
It's pretty gimmicks, but
crowd
still
loved
cool.
It will always look cool forever.
Yeah.
Because neither guy pulled back, like they fucking went for it. No one's moving for a while. Bam Bam crawls out first, and then Taz pops up like he's the fucking T-1000. Just so pissed. He jumps on Bam Bam's back, puts on the Taz mission, and Bam Bam taps out to the Taz mission.
Again, I always respect somebody who has the balls to actually tap and be like, I'll still get over. You don't have to knock me unconscious.
I mean, forever and ever, he's an all-timer. Bam Bam.
Yes,
and like nobody looks back on him like, oh, fuck that guy. Like, no.
Like I mentioned on the regular Blue Thunder pod, I don't think less of Sheamus because he tapped out. I think more of him. He tapped out in that match.
Yeah. And Shane Douglas is fucking irate.
Yeah.
He's irate.
He really is unhappy about the result of this.
He is yelling,
Dave.
He was reaching for the ropes.
I would go so far as to say that he was apoplectic.
The amount of times that word pops in my head, I want to use it every day now. He says, he's reaching for the ropes. This is fixed. Taz gets on the mic after and says, hey, Douglas, beat me if you can. Survive if I let you. And then Shane Douglas throws a monitor from the announcement. We remind you, he's in the sky.
Yeah.
If you're in the
Not
stands,
close.
he's above you. And at this point, Shane and Francine leave the booth altogether. Joey Styles is all alone. And Joey Styles says, we have one match left here at Heatwave 98, a Dudleyville street fight. Bubba Ray Devon and Big Dick Dudley against Little Spike Dudley, the Sandman, and Tommy Dreamer. And this war began when the Dudley boys hit 105-pound Beulah McGillicuddy with the Dudley Death Drop, breaking her neck and putting her out of wrestling.
Yeah, which I'm thinking that must be how they wrote her out.
Yeah. Actually, I don't remember her on TV after this.
Yeah.
And then they recap Beulah getting hurt. So how they do it is kind of cool. They show her getting injured, and then it's like a heartbeat. That's the audio. Mm-hmm. And then they're splicing in parts of her career where like these are the good times, and then like it's just I don't know, really clever,
really talented production people,
really clever editing. And Joey Styles goes on. He says, "And I'm supposed to be objective, a play-by-play man. I'm supposed to be a gentleman and watch my mouth. Quite frankly, the Dudley boys are scumbags. 3D split up the Eliminators. It split up the Gangstas. It put the Sandman in the hospital and damn near broke his neck. So what do? Like thugs, like criminals." Like the street trash that they are, they dropped Beulah McGillicuddy on her neck, put her out of ECW. They should have been fired for it, but I understand where Paulie's coming from. The Dudleys draw money. Fans will pay good money to see the Dudley boys get the crap beat out of them, so why don't we do it? They make me sick. I'm not going to be objective, and I'm not going to be impartial. I can't stand them. They make me sick to my goddamn stomach.
Love it. Love it so much.
Joey Styles did all the work.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yep. This match, too, like, I love a really clearly defined good guy and piece of shit bad guy.
Yeah.
And this is like such that. And Joey Styles did a ton of the work, like you said, right there doing it. This is real heels versus real baby faces.
Yeah.
Like it's, if nothing else, this match has that to the point where I'm emotionally invested because of that kind of shit. Like
I was kind of like, okay, well, first off, I was really praying ECW pay-per-view, please be 2 hours long.
Yeah,
it was 3 hours long. But then, like, after the FTW, like after like the RVD match, I'm like, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
And then like
it's the only way to get anybody, us, and reinvested emotionally is to do the emotional, real story stuff.
And they saved the big story shit for the end.
For the last one. Yeah.
Makes sense.
The most emotion I felt of any match on the show. I mean, this is a show that includes one of my very favorite matches of all time.
Yeah.
But this is the one that I feel the most for because it's like fucking pieces of shit against the good guys that are like trying to avenge something horrible that they did.
This is like a little like HBO miniseries that they have going on here. The Dudley Boys come out.
The entrances, by the way, I think took longer than the match itself.
The Dudley Boys entrance from the moment we see Joel Gertner walk to the ring.
No music.
To the point where we start hearing whatever theme song they came out to for real, because I use for generic ass rock. The entire Dudley's intro presentation took.
Sandman.
Let's play a game.
Iconically.
How long was the Dudley's entire intro?
I can't even.
If you had to guess,
12 minutes.
11 minutes 34.
I thought I was going way over.
11 minutes and 34 seconds. Joel Gertner.
So like as long as a pretty decently long match.
Yeah, it was almost a Simpsons episode. Joel Gertner walks to the ring, gets a huge pop. Sign Guy Dudley is next, and he's in a leg cast with a crutch. Next is the Crooked Ref, and then Devon, then Bubba Ray, and then Big Dick Dudley. No music, as you mentioned, and I think this plays into them more heelish.
Love it.
Yeah,
it's like Don Callis'
no one's. I mean,
nothing to cheer for.
It worked for Tommaso Ciampa really fucking well too.
Wish they'd do that with him again.
Yeah, I wish they would do something with him again.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing him being a piece of shit. Like now I'm supposed to cheer for him because like he's buddy, whatever. Anyway, back in 1998, Joey Styles acknowledges that the truck wants him to talk, and he's like, he just refuses. He's like, I know you want me to talk. I'm not saying nothing though.
Like that's the insidery stuff I like when it's within the story kind of thing. Like I dig that.
Yeah. BB. Who's BB? Maybe Bubba Ray Dudley.
Probably Bubba Ray.
Yeah, because So Bubba Ray goes. I wrote BBD, and he's BRD. Anyway, he gets on the mic and says, "I hate every single one of you people in here. If you didn't know what you're looking at, it is the 3 toughest men in pro wrestling today. We challenge anybody in the WWF. We challenge everybody in the WCW. But most of all, we challenge each and every one of you. If you got the guts, bring it down to the ring, and we'll kick your asses right now."
They hate him.
Yes.
The crowd fucking hates his guts.
Yes.
No cool heel energy whatsoever.
Sign Guy Dudley's got 2 signs. One of them says "Real Sunday Night Heat," and the other one says "Marks Fear Bubba," which I like. And he said, "There's not one, Bubba Ray. There's not one man in this whole arena who's got the guts to get in the ring with the Dudley Boys. If you got the," and then he finds like this fat guy in the crowd, which he did. Like he did crowd work
all the time.
I think he's the GOAT with.
He's
crowd
the best
work.
ever. I think. Yeah.
If you got the guts, fat man, bring it on down to the ring. You're going to need that crutch when the Dudley Boys are done with you. I guess you're just mad that I was with your mother last night. And
I'm surprised he didn't get stabbed.
Yeah.
At some point over the like some of those Philly crowds and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
when he would yell at women, it would get like especially.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oof. He said, in the words of my brother Devon, without further ado, it is time now for Brother Gertner to testify. I'm going to skip some of these parts here. I'm going to do the best I can.
Because the sexual deviant Joel Gertner, you don't really need to. Joel
Gertner, who is their personal ring announcer, who has a perpetually worn neck brace on, and he's very, I don't know, doughy kind of guy.
He's like
wears a
fat,
suit
but
jacket.
with also no muscle under the fat. Neck brace at all times. Suit like a blazer, suit coat with no shirt.
No shirt. That's right.
Always no shirt, which that's why I get the like.
He doesn't look like he washes
come
his
into
face
my van,
ever.
kiddies. Yeah.
but like loves pomade. Like it's just like the, ugh. He says, is it hot in here or is it just me? Well, Dayton, Ohio. Amazing where people can live these days. Made me laugh. It is I, the man your mother warned you about. The man. That's the part I'm not reading. And the only man that matters. Hotter than a heat wave and harder than Chinese algebra. The quintessential stud muffin. Myself, Joel. I always leave them sore, yet they keep coming back for more. Gertner. Credit where credit's
He's good
due.
at what he does.
I hate him, and if that's what he's trying to do,
very good at what he does.
Oh my god!
And he like the fact that every time he does this, it goes on for like 70% longer than you want it to, or you think it's gonna. Yeah. It makes you hate him even worse.
And I didn't even read everything he said just because there's 2 words in that sentence that are going to make me uncomfortable to say on the radio. Nothing egregious, but
it's gross.
It's gross.
Like
anyway, so he said also in the ring at this time he is a referee with integrity and a referee with hair. The extreme official Jeff Jones and the assigned official to this match, bald man.
Yeah.
So Jeff Jones apparently has hair. Cheap Pete.
Like, why do you need your own bad guy ref? Really? Because refs in
NWO
ECW
did it.
don't do. Yeah, but refs in ECW don't really do anything.
They count to
they
3.
count 3 real fast.
Eventually.
Like, yeah, they do 1, 2, 3. That's their. But that's it. That's all. Like, they say, "Hey, knock it off" when you like brain somebody with a chair. That's all.
Better not. Says the company. I don't want to read that one either. So they have a blow-up doll with Beulah McGillicuddy's face on it, and
who remember in kayfabe they just broke her neck.
Broke her neck. Yeah. Don't want to say that one. And he says, at my right, my colleague, you saw him suffer on ECW television, a torn ACL, a damaged patella tendon, a ruptured rectum, and they lose their mind. They're like, no. And he goes, I mean, a deviated septum and a kidney stone. Nonetheless, he stands before you as the quiet behind the riot and the innovator of silence, Sign Guy Dudley. Pretty fucking funny.
I never really understood Sign Guy Dudley's deal. I know he has a sign, but like he never talks. I mean,
he's Brandon Cutler. He's friends with the guys that are on
Cutler
top.
Does stuff, and he occasionally wrestles
he
like matches.
Signs.
But Cutler like wrestles dark matches and stuff. And he's a jobber. Like he's a jobber who's buddies with the bosses. Sign Guy, I don't think was a wrestler.
That's the closest
analogy.
He was
like somebody's cousin or something. Yeah. Like.
And he said, at this time, here they are, the Trans-Coastal, Transcontinental, and Intergalactic 6-man tag team champions of the wrestling world. First from the Twisted Steel section of Dudleyville, 368 pounds, 26.5-inch arms attached to the man who can rip the Guinness Book in half with his bare hands and beat the snot out of Ripley. Believe it or not, pro wrestling's only real mastodon, Big Dick Dudley. A lot in there.
Yeah. They also say he's 6'7" or 6'8" when he was visibly not as tall as like Bam Bam
he had a hard time
or Mike Awesome.
Because he steps over the top rope and he has a very trying time doing it. Representing the south side of Dudleyville and weighing it at a slim, trim, buff, cut, ripped, and then they cut him off. And he says, weight unknown. He is Devon Dudley. I forgot this is his like a tagline. Yeah. So usually when Devon Dudley gets introduced, he said he is slim, trim, buff, cut, ripped, chiseled, and jacked. But they cut him off. Again, cheap heat. Mm-hmm. Don't let the crowd do the chant they want to do. And his half-brother and tag team partner hails from metropolitan Dudleyville and weighs in at a rough, ready, riled up, rowdy, and rambunctious 350 pounds.
I think he's bigger than that in real life, too.
Yeah, he looks like he's pushing
close to 4.
He is the man that helped drive Beulah's head into the canvas with such impact she didn't know whether to... nope, not saying that. Bubba Ray Dudley.
That one's really dirty.
Yeah. Not saying that one. Tommy Dreamer, Spike Dudley, and the Sandman come out together, and this entrance took 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5. Start counting. 1, 2, 5 minutes. So all day we have.
Well, at least I got to enjoy it because it was Enter Sandman that I was watching.
Yeah, I don't.
Sandman's entrance is great.
Yeah.
If you're listening to Enter Sandman the whole time.
It's all, well, I did get to enjoy him busting his forehead open by headbutting a can of beer.
Always does that
in the beginning of the match.
I don't. He's not good at anything. I love him.
We're going long shit. So Tommy Dreamer and Devon Dudley start. There's actual chain wrestling to start the match, which wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, no.
Which makes sense, since his girlfriend got her fucking knee broken. Let's by all means do some chain wrestling. Devon's overselling. Can't get over that. That's just perfect all the time.
Yeah.
Spike Dudley?
He flops around like a fish. Spike Dudley bumps like nobody in history of wrestling.
He should have been CTE.
And he's fine.
He's fine.
He's totally. I looked him up because like all these people I'm looking up, he's fine.
Yeah.
He's bumping like nobody ever in history, and he does it a shitload of times in these in like this match alone.
He does a cool thing here with Spike's is standing on Bubba Ray's chest in the corner. Bubba Ray's in the corner, and Spike's standing on his chest, like kind of stomping on it. And he drops down for reasons into a powerbomb position. And then Bubba Ray Dudley does a layout powerbomb. Haven't seen one of these in forever. Yeah. Would love to see someone bring that back because it looks
awesome.
Fucking awesome. It looks awesome. Bubba Ray takes a Hurricane Rana very well.
Bubba's like bumping around like a motherfucker here. And like I said, at about 400 pounds.
Yeah. And then he calls timeout, which, again, another heel thing that you don't see anymore. And then, let's see. Then they fight in the crowd. It's fun. Oh, at one point, they're fighting deep into the crowd. Tommy Dreamer and Devon Dudley are walking on the chairs like in unison. They're like helping each other.
It was kind of funny. Yeah.
Made me laugh. Who hit a Frankensteiner on the
Sandman hit the worst.
Oh, Sandman. I'm like, who's TS? Yeah, he hit a Frankensteiner.
He hit the worst one ever.
Yeah, it was tough. It looks like he broke his hip. Bubba Ray Dudley does an atomic drop onto the guardrail like we saw Ric Flair do. Yeah, like to a degree.
I'll give Sandman credit though. He like can't do anything, but he's willing to do everything.
Yeah,
he will do like he does a couple of spots where he like somersaults onto a ladder where he just does not have control of his body, but he's like, oh fuck it, I'll do it. Sure,
he's showing up for work.
Yeah,
absolutely. Sandman and Spike Dudley set up a ring. So this took all of like 4 seconds. Sandman and Spike Dudley set up a ladder in the ring. Spike marches up the ladder, goes to the top, stands on the top, like, and then just dives on all three Dudley boys outside of the ring with zero fucking hesitation.
It looked like it was about 30 feet.
Like, I just couldn't get over how comfortable he was with doing that. This guy, man, can you imagine him and Darby Allin having a match?
Oh my god. He's like totally fine. You know who else is totally fine? Fucking Sandman. He looks healthier now in 2024 than he did then.
Might have cut back on the booze.
How is this possible?
Well, when your gimmick is not to be drunk all the time. And where
but he wasn't wrestling real safe matches either.
No, he was barely wrestling it is. Sandman puts a ladder on top of Devon Dudley, who's laying on the ground, and he does a swanton onto it. Looked like it hurt everybody.
Yes.
Bubba Ray puts a ladder on top of Tommy Dreamer, and he does his middle rope senton. Looks 400-pound-ish guy. Looks fucking great. Spike Dudley puts the as they say, testicular claw on Bubba Ray Dudley, and then he hits the acid drop. I love the acid drop. When Bubba Ray took the acid drop,
the best. Yeah, it's one of the best like combo two wrestlers like executing a move in the history of wrestling. Is Bubba and Spike doing the acid drop.
My God, loved it. Devon Dudley does a side slam onto the ladder to Spike Dudley, which looked brutal.
All these ladder spots, by the way, look like they were like lacerating, like under their clothes.
Yeah, and they all took them perfectly. Yeah. And, like, so Tommy Dreamer puts Sign Guy into the figure 4. The crooked ref Jeff Jones comes in and he attacks Tommy Dreamer to break up the whole.
Makes a weird decision here, though.
Well, he gets fucking. So then Jeff Jones he figures, oh, I attacked Tommy Dreamer. My work here is done for the night. Also has the Beulah McGillicuddy blow-up doll.
Yeah, and instead of like attacking another human.
Yeah, he mocks Tommy Dreamer, whose finisher is or one of his moves is a pile driver, and he pile drives the blow-up doll, and then Tommy Dreamer sees it, and he pile drives Jeff Jones.
Yes.
The fuck did you think was going to happen? Also, like, weird spot. Again, Howard Stern era blow-up dolls were very popular in the 90s.
Did people really use those to fuck?
I hope not.
I mean, they existed for a reason beyond jokes,
not.
Right?
like I know, I never met anybody who, like,
fucked a blow up now or admitted to
it. Like, I've met people who have used other things modern day, and they're
because those things are reasonable.
But they're very open, they're very openly like, yeah, I've done that.
Yeah,
but I've never heard anyone use blow up.
Because doesn't seem like it would do anything for you.
Subscribe to our Patreon and tell us your story about when you did a thing with the blow up.
Joey Styles does another shot at both WWF and WCW when Tommy Dreamer hits the Dreamer Driver. He's like, you'll see that in the coming weeks on Monday Night Wrestling. He'll call it something different, but you'll see it.
They had all three Dudleys and Joel Gardner at one point tied to a tree of woe, so they're hanging upside down. And 4 chairs appear in all 4 of their faces, and there's 4-way basement drop kicks, and the 4th guy is referee Jeff Molyneux because they mocked his baldness at the beginning of the match.
It looked cool.
Yeah,
usually I don't like these like set up too many people, like, but it happened fast enough, and they did it in sync enough that I was like, oh, that looked cool. Like,
they met in the middle, and you're like, I think I know what they're gonna do, and then they do it, and you're like, whoa, fuck that. It looked great. Let's see. You just mentioned the Dreamer. So Bubba Ray Dudley to Tommy Dreamer. Oh, Big Dick Dudley does a choke bomb to Tommy Dreamer. And
it looked good too. I'm not a huge Big Dick Dudley guy, but that move looked cool.
And Joey Styles says, "Big Dick with total penetration on the ladder."
Yeah.
Oh, Spike Dudley goes for a swinging tornado bulldog on Big Dick Dudley, but he gets thrown over the top rope through the table that's outside.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel like a stock spot for him.
Yeah. It would kill me. And Spike Dudley does it like house shows.
It's one of his 5 moves of doom
Yeah.
to take a table spot. Bubba Ray Dudley to the Sandman gives him a brutal unprotected chair shot.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
Again, he's fine. How?
All that Miller Lite's protecting his
He
skull.
does interviews. He's more cogent than Bubba Ray is.
So the finish saw Bubba Ray Dudley putting Tommy Dreamer on a ladder. He misses a splash. And then Tommy Dreamer picks up Bubba Ray Dudley, DDTs him onto the ladder for the W because that is Tommy Dreamer's finisher. Mm-hmm. And on a ladder, it's extra devastating. After the match...
Personally, I think the Dreamer Driver was a cooler move. But
I think his, when he does the pile driver and he, hesitates and he turns.
Yeah.
I think I like that more for
That's
him.
the coolest. Yeah. That's what I associate with him more than that and then the turning and
Yeah, I loved it. After the match, in case you forgot, way back in the New Jack, Jack Victory is coming out, and he's
Jack Victory's like moseying out with his useless ass.
This is like I was happy with the ending, and I guess in 1998. I would have been bummed if New Jack was advertised and he wasn't on the fucking show.
This is another one that you definitely couldn't. There's no way you could enjoy this the way I did.
All right.
Because New Jack doing the New Jack to end a show thing doesn't fucking work without Natural Born Killers plan.
So I will. I supplemented because I half turned down what I was watching it on, and on YouTube I put on the Dr. Dre's house
because it works with that. New Jack doing his thing.
Yeah. I was so fucking mad when they didn't have it, but So in case you haven't seen New Jack, anytime his face is on camera, his theme song is playing the entire time because he doesn't have matches. He had just straight up.
He's not really a wrestler. He just brings a shopping cart of weapons down to the ring, and tries to hurt everybody in the ring with those weapons. And I know he's a bad person too in real life, but with Natural Born Killers playing and him doing his struts after hitting everybody with all this shit, and then doing the really bad taste referee X thing. And, he's just a bad guy. Still makes me pop because it's awesome.
So to coax him out, Jack Victory came into the ring and he hits Tommy Dreamer in the head with a guitar. And I'm a musician, so I'll let you know, acoustic guitars are just full of baby powder.
Yeah, are they usually balsa wood filled with baby powder? I was going to ask.
100%. Yeah. How do you think they got that? I can't think of a single acoustic song right now. Not important.
That's the only thing I would allow New Jack to hit me with because I don't think he could that particular style of acoustic guitar because everything else he just really tries to hurt everybody.
Yeah. I mean, knowing him, he probably gets a real guitar with a truss rod in it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
The thing that who did that fuck up? Who got hit with a guitar with a truss rod in it?
Yeah, something to do with a show we
Jake
just
Roberts?
did. Yes, Jake the Snake.
Jake the Snake. Yeah. So it's a 4-on-3 beatdown with Jack Victory now helping the heels. Natural Born Killers starts playing. New Jack comes out with a shopping cart full of shit. He hits Bubba Ray Dudley in the face with a stop sign. Garbage can to Jack Victory. Trash can to Devon Dudley. He throws the whole fucking shopping cart at Big Dick Dudley, who goes flying over the top.
He throws it over the top rope. It's like a big 1998 ass metal shopping cart too.
It's a Kmart shopping cart. He throws it at a man's head, and he flips over the top rope. Tommy Dreamer and Spike Dudley Both hit Bubba Ray Dudley with a stop sign, knocks him out of the ring. New Jack hits Jack Victory in the nuts with a golf club. Oh, by the way, in the shopping cart, there was like a 9-iron.
Yeah.
So he hits
it's a
him in
real goddamn golf club, too.
Yeah. I don't think he would gimmick anything.
No.
And then he also brings a guitar, and he hits Jack Victory in the head with a guitar. And this is the end of the beating. They put 3 ladders in the ring now, various sizes. So the Sandman, New Jack, Tommy Dreamer are on the ladders, and Spike Dudley is marching around them. There's shit everywhere in the ring. And
they get a cool visual out of the...
It looks, yeah. And then Tommy Dreamer's yelling at the end. He gets on the mic and said, "This is Ohio is ECW country." Yeah. Fun. Just fun.
Yeah, super fun.
With like a lot of story involved.
Yes, yeah.
You know, like this could have been hey, we're gonna have a bunch of leftover guys fight because
Crazy
we want them to fight.
Slapfest. Yeah,
But they actually put some sentiment behind it.
I will say New Jack is more reliant on Natural Born Killers than even Sandman is reliant on Enter Sandman.
yeah.
Because I don't think I would have had fun with that at all without that music.
No,
because it's wonderful. It fits so perfect.
Yeah,
it is funny the way he does his chicken strut around after he does an awful thing to somebody. But it's the music is so good that I can look past all of the things that I know about him.
Yeah.
But overall, A+. 5 stars, whatever. What can you say?
No, for real. What was not great on this show?
My gripes or criticisms, a couple of tiny ones that I made were oh yeah, the tag match maybe should have ended 3 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
And then the other one was not even really a gripe. It was I think I would have rather seen a more conventional match between Lance Storm and Chris Candido.
Yeah.
But instead I saw a super awesome hardcore match. That's really it.
I got a ribeye, but I could have got a New York strip.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Every backstage segment was great. Every promo was great. Color and play-by-play was fantastic.
Yeah.
Didn't feel long.
And even if the promos were bad, content-wise, character-wise, they you. And I'm glad you said that because I was really salty. That was my one down, Bill Alfonso's participation. But
his suckiness it worked. It made
juxtaposed to everybody around him.
Yeah, exactly. It fit with those guys. And now I kind of understand why he was with them at all. For that whole run. Because they are both one's cocky silence, kind of. The other guy's just scary silence, and it works to have your goofy ass motherfucker in the middle.
Yeah.
But
loved it. Fucking loved it.
Dessert this week.
Man, that was 2 scoops.
Thank you guys for joining us. Please tune in to our normally scheduled Blue Thunder pod. It's going to drop on Friday morning, as always, and we'll have. We may have a regular pay-per-view coming up.
We have King and Queen of the Ring in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So maybe.
So yeah, we may be doing King and Queen of the Ring rather than Turnbuckle Time Machine. That's kind of what we've settled on. When there's a pay-per-view, we're going to do a show for that, a currently happening pay-per-view, and then every other week we'll do a Turnbuckle Time Machine for you guys. So join us for whichever one of those happens to be coming up the week after this airs. So as always, thanks for joining us. See you again next week, guys.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Bye. It's extreme. Goodbye. Goodbye.